everybody. It's Real Shade again, back at you, live on Twitch this time. We thought we'd give it a go. Probably be a little bit better and a little bit more exciting live. There's probably nobody watching at the minute, but that's the point. We need a little bit more participation. We have some music going. Darren has some drink. You probably haven't seen the YouTube video of it yet, so I'm Jamie. That's Darren over there. I'm not going to get this right over here. And that's Dario up there. And she's our resident artist. And she'll be doing a fantastic piece of art during our review. And fingers crossed, everything will go fantastic and we won't have some technical hiccups or anything like that. It's all going to work. And we're going to be drinking some lovely beers. I'm having a porterhouse plain porter. What are you having, Darren?
I can't even pronounce what I'm having, and it's not the beer.
Oh, hey, he's just that drunk.
I'm just that drunk.
And Derry's just on the Smirnoff tonight, as usual. We can't stop her. So today, as you've probably guessed, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man over here.
Sorry.
This is a Darren suggestion. Last time, we were listening to, or we were watching The Crow, which you can find on YouTube if you're interested. Go to our YouTube channel, and that'll be there. This will also be here on Fridays. We normally put it up on Fridays, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good to go. Cool. So, we'll get stuck in. Usually, I tend to break things down a little bit. These are not official. These are just my notes as an amateur reviewer. And, I don't know, Darren has some notes and, you know, we all have some things to go by. But if you're interested, chime on in. I'm sure I have a big chat listed up here. I can take a look at it every now and then. And yeah, we'll just go based on the drink. So, Darren, since you're I'm holding you back. I'm holding you back. Tell me a little bit about the Spider-Man. In general, let's get started just on the Spider-Man.
Do you want to know about... Wait a second, but that's a very broad question. Are we talking about this movie, or are we talking about, like, the character? Are we talking about the comic? Are we talking about what are we talking about?
We're just talking about the I suppose the comic, the character.
Oh, God.
You know, in general, let's say I've never heard of Spider-Man in my whole entire life. Who is this Spider of Men?
Spider of Men. He's the
Not Spider
superhero.
for Men, Spider of Men.
I will. If anybody's watching this, they'll probably chime in and be like, I don't want to upset anybody, but my personal opinion, he's the best superhero of all time. And the reason why, like, a lot of people would say Batman is I don't believe Batman is a superhero at all. He's a vigilante. But let's not get into that situation. Thank you, Darren.
I'm with you, yeah.
Yeah, I believe, like, if it speaks to you, and Peter Parker speaks to me, like, growing up reading the comics, because, like, I've heard this so much, and it just resonates with me because, like, I didn't have a lot of friends when I was growing up. I was kind of on my own a lot. So, like, and I wouldn't have been a nerd like Peter Parker would have been nerd. Well,
I wasn't a nerd like that guy.
I was on my own for other reasons. Yeah, but because I drank too much. No, it just resonated with me as like as a character. Like I didn't read like loads and loads and loads of comics like when I was younger. Like I read Spider-Man was my thing, and even like, see, I grew up on the animated series before I grew up on the.
I think I did too. Like that was the one on like it was like Disney Channel or whatever. They mostly had it on Disney. I think most people in Waterford, at the very least, there wasn't a big like comic store at the time when we were younger. You couldn't go and get like a comic. You'd have to go to Dublin into the big Easons, maybe the book centre. But at the time, they didn't even do graphic novels. So I think
the book centre used to do like they used to do all Marvel comics like. That's the only place I could get. And then like in the mid 2000s, you could get like there was a shop down. I can't remember what it's called. There's a shop down on. The Key, and they were a comic book store, and and then there's another comic book shop on now who are friends of the guys who run it, up on it's by the cinema, up there, wherever, Johnstown.
Well, now it's more accessible, but at the time, like that like something like that cartoon where it was like Peter Parker, who looked like a 30-year-old man, is like in college. He's like, my Spidey sense is thing. But I thought that and the X-Men cartoons were amazing. Those,
Huge X-Men.
yeah,
Huge.
Dude, that's what I grew up on. Like, as I said, I wouldn't even turn around I wouldn't try and have a conversation about a comic book, like a comic book conversation, with someone, because I wouldn't know enough about it back then. I know a little bit more about it now because I've obviously like read, studied up, and because I love the character so much, and now obviously it's become so much more of like how do you say, like, it's like Spider-Man, like, is fucking everywhere. It's not like it used to be years ago. Like I said, I grew up on the animated. It's called Spectacular Spider-Man. Like, and then you had, before that, you had like Spider-Man cartoons called Spider-Man and Friends, with like he was with Iceman in it. And it was like, there was really old cartoons that I grew up on. Like, that's where I kind of found my love of Spider-Man. Like, I had comics growing up, but like I wouldn't have really fell in love with the character until I started, like,
in the 90s, like, there was no Spider-Man films. There wasn't really any Marvel films at that time. I think they were in the works. What's that?
There was a Spider-Man show. I can't remember your man's name. I don't have it wrote down here.
Yeah, but that was that the like cheesy one.
But it's amazing. Like, that's man. He was in, that guy was actually in the Spider-Man Sam Raimi movie.
The one that we're talking about.
Yeah, he was only an extra on the balcony. But like man, that's my first earliest memory of Spider-Man. Like, with the big bracelets of the webs, and you know what I mean, and like the glass eyes.
Well, see, that's the thing, and like at the time, to be honest with you, that kind of stuff looked a bit hokey. Spider-Man wasn't like a big thing. It was a big thing for kids at the time, but it wasn't in the popular mind. Yeah. Not in Ireland anyway. In the UK, I think it was, again, it's kind of, Spider-Man was an underground sort of a hero. Again, Batman was a little bit more accessible, and even his hokey behavior on television was like pretty comical. Like, I was watching that as opposed to watching anything Spider-Man with Adam West. That for me was probably a little bit more, an icon of my childhood rather than it being Spider-Man related. However, when it came to this film, that kind of changed a little bit, because it had been some years before or after like a Batman Michael Keaton. So it was, and that was a little bit cheesy, in fairness. Like, looking back, comparing the two, one is an action-packed, like, I'd compare it to like the difference between like a SNES game that's open world and like like a Skyrim or whatever. Like, that you could see everything. It was all up in the towers. One of the things that did or was relevant to me, Spider-Man wise, actually, probably a little bit more than the animated series, I'd say, is the game. Have you ever played the game, the PlayStation game?
Which game? I have all of the games. I still have all my games. The Spider-Man, the movie game.
It was not the movie game, not the PlayStation 2 one, the PlayStation 1 with Stan Lee as the narrator, and it's like the comic.
Oh yeah,
there's like an Enter Electro, I think, was the second one.
That was part 2, yeah. Those games were amazing, and amazing for the reason, because it was like obviously the new Spider-Man games are out now and they're great, but like, those games were like you were playing a comic book. Like, graphics didn't matter shit. Those games are just fucking enjoyable to play. They were fucking brilliant. Like, it's so many villains in it. Hammerhead, Rhino, Doc Ock, Mysterio, Carnage was in the second one, Venom was, Captain America was there. They were all fucking there.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, I think those were a little bit more accessible for people of my age, and like, you're pretty much the same age as myself. Like, it was so hard to get the original comics. Maybe in the book center, again, you go into the book center, you pick up whatever comics they had. You wouldn't go in there and say, hey, what comic is this or whatever. They're just like, whatever you have.
I have friends of mine who are actually would have obviously been my age, and they would have been diehard comic fans. So they would have like you're saying, but they because Spider-Man comics would have been around, but obviously they wouldn't have been like widely known. But in the books I sold them like years ago, like the early stages of Spider-Man comics when it started coming out. But like, he would have all them still in their sleeves, like and he would have been like, for years I had never understood it. I was like, and why are you buying? And I would like, why are you buying comics? But like, I only ever got into it when it was Ultimate Spider-Man. Like, that was
those were the kind of glossy comics, you know. And see, that's the thing. I was purposely not into that, and maybe that's kind of followed me out through probably most of my life. Is not wanting to be into like the glossy thing. I wanted like the old soft comics.
Yeah.
But
You definitely haven't changed.
no, I haven't. No, I'm a bit of a soft comic. But one of the things I did appreciate about growing a little bit older and the new things that came along, which kind of faded a little bit quickly, was the CGI. And it was new at this time. It was like 2002 when this film came out.
Spider-Man, the animated series.
They had the animated series. There was a little bit of CGI in that. There was that, when they're swooping through.
It was a complete... Are you on about the complete CGI series that Neil Patrick Harris did his voice?
No, what year was that?
That was 2008, I think it was.
Well, let's say before, we're talking about before Spider-Man, Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So, like, the
cartoon
had, like, CGI, like, animated bits in it and, like, CGI bits in it. But what I'm talking about is this film was the first film. It was like the Titanic for action hero films. You know, it was what you could do with an action hero.
Yeah.
It's like Batman was confined to sets and, swinging through things. And they kept a fantastic balance in this, I think. You know, what they showed off a lot of CGI that was fantastic at the time. And at the same time, they kept a lot of cool practical stuff. And we'll probably get into that a little bit.
Like, they didn't jump the shark. They didn't just go like, oh, look at this cool stuff we can do, let's put it in everywhere. They really kind of just gave you a taste when it was necessary.
And that's
who was supposed to direct this movie?
Who?
James Cameron.
Oh, Jesus Christ. There's like, actually, you know what? There was like 4 explosions in the whole entire thing. The things would have it would have leveled New York by the end of it.
His production company actually went bust. Like,
delighted.
But yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but like his version, because he helped write a script for it. He took like screenshots and he said, but his actually version was going to be like a really risque adult version. But there was loads of like swearing, and there was loads of like what was the thing? Oh yeah, he was going to have a scene where Peter is actually it's in one of the comics. Peter is actually spying on Mary Jane while she's getting changed. It's him like.
Was in there though.
There is a little bit, but it's kind of like Sam.
Where he's looking across the
it's like
into her bedroom window while she's getting ready. No, she's not getting dressed, but she's getting ready.
She's getting ready. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the innocence that like Ash had, in Evil Dead. You know, that kind of like that playful. Oh, look, the girl next door, and it didn't feel creepy at like James Cameron hooking up with like the lady.
But it was completely like. But the movie was being done under James Cameron's production company, and obviously it went bust, and that's why Sony. But Sony was very, very, very hesitant to do the movie because they didn't think it was good. Because of like what I have wrote here is it kickstarted the modern like obsession with fucking superhero movies, and I wrote also, fuck the Avengers. Sorry.
Well, you know what? We will have a chat about the Marvel Avengers and stuff. And me, personally, I'm not a huge fan of the whole universe. I liked when it was just a superhero and maybe you might have a crossover. That was exciting. But, it's just now so overdone that... Like, I haven't seen the Tom Holland Spider-Man. Because I like Tobey Maguire, and that's enough Spider-Man for me. But I've never been a die-hard comic person.
But kind of a little bit of information. Hugh Jackman was, because X-Men Blade came out first, then it was X-Men, right? Now Blade did good. It did good in the box office, but it did as good as you'd expect a superhero movie to do years ago, with not much promotion, because Blade wasn't a massive character. Then X-Men did a little bit better, but it wasn't like critically fucking acclaimed.
It still wasn't that great, yeah.
But it was a good movie. It was like, it wasn't given much of a budget for what they had. I think they did a fucking amazing job. But also, look where X-Men is now. But Hugh Jackman was because X-Men did quite well. It wasn't expected to do quite well, but it did a lot. Hugh Jackman was actually supposed to make an appearance in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, but the reason he didn't, he actually showed up to the set to do his scenes. Fox would not give Hugh Jackman the costume. That's why he was cut from the movie.
Oh, really?
That's God's honest truth.
What costume? Like the proper yellow and blue one?
No, his black leather costume. They wouldn't give him the suit.
Okay.
It was a Sony movie.
Yeah, it was a Sony production, and we're taking because obviously they want to do more. There was another crossover business, but and it was Sam Raimi obviously wanted to do this. He wanted to start, but it wasn't to start off the crossover extravaganza which you see now. It was just purely to have a cameo in a movie. And Hugh Jackman said, yeah, cool, because he wasn't obviously fucking going nuts at this stage being Wolverine, but it would have been amazing to happen. But obviously then Fox wouldn't give. They just said blatantly, no, we're not going to that. You have to pay X amount. The studio were we'll pay for the costume, and they were like, no, because they didn't want any of your property mixed in with Sony. I thought it was fucking crazy. I was like, what?
See, to be honest with you,
Sony did the same thing with Spider-Man.
Exactly. Exactly. Same fucking thing.
But this is the problem, I think, and that's a slippery slope, because now you have things that you can't look left without being knocked down by some well-known superhero, and it is I feel like those should be kind of one-off films, and we'll get into it, because I feel like I'm gonna rag on about the modern Marvel movies, and this isn't and this is what I like, because this movie isn't there to set up a movie.
Yeah.
And that's all those movies were. They were only there to set up other movies, and then to retcon other ones. They got 15 different directors in. And I'm not saying the movies are bad. I'm just saying that it's a bit of a detrimental idea. What they do with Star Wars is they want to make it like an ongoing franchise, like a movie series, not a trilogy, not a quadruple. They want to make it over and over and over and over and over again until they've literally sucked the blood out of it. And they haven't done that with Spider-Man in this. And you can tell it's a passion project, because there's so much respect gone into it in a lot of ways. And I think they had the right actors and the right directors at the time. Tobey Maguire just was perfect for it.
The reason why Sam Raimi was actually hired, Derry, don't you dare say that. The reason why Sam Raimi was actually hired, and I fucking love this reason so much, he was hired purely on the basis of Stan Lee said that he's a massive comic book fan. And you can tell from this movie, this is done from a perspective of someone who loved the fucking character.
But they didn't do it and what I like about it, they didn't do it in a Sin City way where they made it like a comic. That kind of way, which I still love Sin City, but I'm glad they didn't do that, and they could have easily went, oh, we'll make it like a comic, we'll jazz it up. But they stuck to it being this realistic, really, because they actually retconned a few things, with his, well, not really retconned, theirs was enhanced it, where you can see, the little barbs in his hands and stuff later on. So that was all cool. Yeah. And it's actually not cartridges, it's, real web in, I like that.
No.
We'll come to that in a little bit. But to be honest with you, as a person that isn't a big comic book person, it worked. It worked for me. It didn't bother me, but we'll move on to it. Let's get into the act, the first act. I think starting there is probably a good place to go. The intro, and I'll always say it. The intro is fantastic. They have credits at the start. What?
But Danny Elfman was the composer.
Was it Danny Elfman again?
Yeah.
He's back again.
He seems to be attached to the same type of thing.
This movie is fucking amazing.
Hey, Danny Elfman and any sort of a theme during that period is just insane. Perfect.
If I won the lottery, I'd hire Danny Elfman to do my fucking theme song.
Yeah.
Just for life in general.
It's like in Family Guy when he gets the genie to give him his own. Yeah, but just Danny Elfman.
I just think that whole intro was just a wasted opportunity. It was just the same animations over and over again. It's the exact opposite. We talked about The Crow last week, and Darren was saying how it was just oh great, it's just one title and the main actor, and then you're into the action. And this was like the exact opposite, where it's just name after name after name, but not even anything interesting to lead you into the story. It's just cobwebs.
Do you know what it was? It's because they put so much, like, Sony had realistically from the pitch when they basically, we don't have any faith in this movie. No, when they said, oh, we'll just do it to make another movie and see what happens, because they had seen early press screenings. A lot had been changed. Obviously, there was a lot of CGI missing and stuff. But because they'd seen such early amazing reactions, they put all their money, all their eggs in one basket. So this is like a go or no. So if Sony had failed on this movie, they would have been bust. They would have been bankrupt. So the fact that they added all that shit in later, because it was only like the main actors, like, you know, it was obviously directed by Sam Raimi, like Spider-Man, Kirsten Dunst, Harry Osborn, James Franco's name wasn't even in the fucking credits at the like when it was originally released.
He wasn't really that well known at the time, though. He actually came off as a bit of a douche in this, to be honest with you.
He was actually supposed to play. He was actually auditioned for Peter Parker's part.
He would have sucked. He would have been too cool for school, to be honest with you. He wouldn't like that.
He was more of an Andrew Garfield kind of Spider-Man.
Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. That's when I stopped. I was like, you know what? Now they've just you've ruined Spider-Man for me. With his skateboard and his cool, you know, flares probably. So the incoming or the intro really good. I liked. It kind of gave me a James Bondy kind of effect. I watched right. So I looked up the film, and it said, how long was the film? 2 hours long.
It was 2 hours and 22 minutes.
22 minutes. Did you see the extended version?
I'm after watching every single version that's ever been released, Jamie.
I'll take that as a yes then. So the intro we were talking about originally. The first film that we reviewed was Beetlejuice, and the intro for that had credits, and they'd done that really well. And The Crow had no credits, and well, you know, you can watch what I thought about that film. And then this film has really long credits, and I will give it that it does have very long credits unnecessarily. But again, I think they were trying to show off that CGI budget, doing a bit of DNA stuff. It was a bit of a show off, to be honest with you.
Very samey. I mean, it's not showing off when it's just the same thing over and over again for that long, in my opinion.
Well, it was the first Marvel movie, the first of that genre, to have that Marvel credit roll. None of the like Blade, X-Men, none of them had that. Like
that's when it tells you it's a feature film. It's a feature film.
Yeah, it was Marvel property. Yeah, that's what Sony. It was Sony.
At the start, was this the first one that had the flipping of the comics when it reveals Marvel? And all of them have it now, really, don't they? Some sort of rendition of that. I love that.
But X-Men. I have a version of X-Men upstairs. That because
upstairs in under the bed. Oh, that type of a version. It's a 3-hour version.
Because they have the triple X-Men.
Huge Jackman.
Hello. I actually have I have X-Men upstairs, and it's actually near your foot. I can't say it. That's fine. I have upstairs, but it has a credit roll of Marvel, and it's weird because I had to check this out. Like it's a release version, obviously, but it's not supposed to have the Marvel thing. But I think whatever company released the DVD had put the Marvel thing in, whatever the story was anyway. There's a Marvel credit roll before, but it's not even it's a Marvel property. But Fox own Marvel. I haven't even said it. Marvel own rights to X-Men, but Fox have bought the characters to use. You know what I mean? Now obviously Disney owned X-Men.
Because that's the thing. There was a Fox Kids that had Spider-Man on it, and Disney had X-Men animation on it. So there was all this like interbreeding going on in between anyway. It's not like they never done anything with the other one's property. It's just they selectively did it when they wanted, and then it started getting a little bit bigger and bigger. And Disney probably came to the table and went, "Okay, guys, this is how we get all of the franchises together." It's like getting like a heart attack in, you know, it's like a food court. They were like, let's make the best food court of films ever. And Do you know how much this movie made? This movie made in its first opening weekend 100 million. It never happened before. Not surprised.
100 because of
That's
obviously they
chump
did,
change nowadays, 100 million. If you're not making like 4 billion, you're nothing.
Well, this is the thing. But back in 2002, man, that movie, like, I don't even know I didn't check up what X-Men made and Blade Man. But like 100 million was like on the press screen, not the press screen, on the screen showings that they showed, like, you know, the what they call the fucking screenings. You know what I'm saying?
Those screen things, the screenings.
But like they actually signed up for another. It was 4 movies, so they never had actually planned for 4 movies. They only had planned for 1 movie, with an opening of it. But the whole end of the movie was changed because when the end of the movie. I hope everyone has seen this movie.
Let's not go straight to the end just yet.
Yeah. But okay, read my step back. But like they obviously changed the end of the movie. A little, the script was changing because they obviously had got such good fucking feedback. And they were like, "Wait, we can get more." Obviously, big business for like
we can make more money on this one.
Excellent.
So I have down here for the intro. It's 3 minutes and 10 seconds long. That's from the Columbus thing. 3 minutes. I think for The Crow, I had written down we're already into the film probably, and your man's tossed out the window by that stage. 3 minutes in.
And when we watched Beetlejuice, it was like your whole background story is done through the credits.
Pretty much.
Jerry, quit hating, okay?
But again, I think they were.
You two are geeking out. I've got to be the voice of reason here.
You're gonna geek out in a minute when we start talking about why Tom Holland isn't the greatest Spider-Man because Tobey. So this is what I like about the film, okay? And I'm gonna put it out here in the first act. The fact that they tell the origin story so quickly and so swiftly, and then boot into them basically finishing college, I think within the first or second act, is great. They don't linger on this. Oh, he's young, and they just get it nicely, bam, 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 and it's done really well. The bus running stop. So this is how they do it, in my opinion, is kind of slim it down to these really interesting moments, but stick it into the course of like 24 hours for them. And then after that, time becomes a little bit more malleable.
When he's after the bus, it starts with that.
Yeah, so he has that right, and right. We were talking about this with The Crow. There's a little bit of a narration there at the start. I bet if someone what was it like if someone told you I'd led a non-interesting life, well, they'd be lying to you. And I was like, oh my god, that's just stop doing the narration at the fucking start.
Somebody lied.
Somebody lied.
Every great story is like about a girl. Even this one. This is about Mary Jane Watson. But you know the invisible spider web from the credits when it comes out and all of a sudden there's a web on. That's fucking great. Like, that's beautiful.
That is good. Great camera work from Sam Raimi throughout, really.
But you know the whole run-in scene where he does. Do you know what was supposed to happen? Well, instead of him grabbing the banner and pulling off, he was actually supposed to miss the bus. There was supposed to be a car come, and he's supposed to do a huge flip into the air because what happened in the comics. That
would have ruined it though. And there's like the pacing in this part of it works. If like that's why having not read the comics, I'm sure because that feels like a very comic thing to do, and that's something that you want to get broad. You're probably like 20 pages in by this stage, maybe 5 pages in or whatever, and in that part of the film, you're kind of near Act 2, and you don't want him flipping around. He's basically going to do the whole jumping in a little bit of time. It's the ramp up to that, like having him run and miss the bus. Like the bus driver is even an asshole. He's basically like, and MJ turns out to be the nice one.
Can we actually just take a moment to realize that Joe Manganiello, whatever his name is playing Flash Thompson in this movie?
Who is that?
Is it him? Joe? Sure.
Joe, what's his name? Joe Manganiello. He's playing in True Blood.
In who?
Manganiello. You know who I'm on about, Terry?
Hot guy, yeah.
Yeah,
who?
Hot guy.
Who's Hot guy?
He plays Deathstroke in the Batman vs Superman. Jamie, he's in True Blood.
I haven't seen either of those things.
That's where I am. No,
he looks famous to me. Yeah, and I like him as the bully. Is that Venom basically?
No, that's Eddie Brock.
Eddie Brock, yeah.
Well, Flash Thompson does become Venom in later
Oh, okay.
iterations.
I was kind of right then. Yeah, cool.
There's 3 different boards. Then you have anti-venom. Then you have I won't go into it.
And Carnage and all those crazy guys.
But yeah, no, like I love the fact that in this movie they blatantly use like late 20-year-olds to play teenagers, and it's like
That's
so.
every movie though.
Well, they kind of changed that nowadays. They genuinely have kind of like child actors are kind of coming back. In the early 2000s, they weren't really like the 90s. They had children actors from famous people, but now you have famous children from normal people.
Yeah, but I will say something. Tom Holland looks like a fucking child. So, and have you seen any of Tom Holland's?
No.
Well, no.
He looks about 12.
I won't rag on the guy, but after it took me time. How can I say? It took me time to actually love him, and you know why? Because he's such a lovable guy in real life, just genuinely. And I have to give the guy credit because he's an actual gymnast. So all those flips you see him do,
that's all great.
It's all him.
This is why I like Tom Holland, because I see Tom Holland the way like Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man and Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. To me, Tom Holland, the actor, is Spider-Man. He's that cheeky kind of chappy that you expect Spider-Man to be.
I will say, you know, in his first movie, Spider-Man Homecoming, where he's like, what I love about it is obviously nowadays he's like vlogging, boy. He's putting on like a stupid voice, hey everybody, and putting on like I think he plays a teenager perfect, because he nearly is one. He just left, like he's only turned like 22 or something. But I don't. If this conversation was like last year, I would have I couldn't stick him. But he is after growing on me. He really has to grow.
What I will say about Tobey Maguire is that he's not. When I've seen like different trailers of the Tom Holland Spider-Man, he's not as sassy. You get one or two one-liners from Tobey, and that's about it. You don't get the whole sarcasticness. I think that only comes into it in the second one, really. And the second one is even better, really, than the first one, I think.
Oh, what a fucking movie.
But
does he gain some facial expressions in the second one?
Oh, no, stop it.
Honestly.
Right, stop it now.
Ask my kids. I was like, is he ever going to blink? It was creepy.
And here's a part.
Also, he had the same facial expression when Ben died as when he was pouring his heart out to Mary Jane. So,
no, it's sad. He was crying. I seen tears and everything. I felt emotion, okay?
I saw tears too. They were coming from his eyes though.
Yeah.
Just big.
I think
that's how a man cries, okay? It's just solemnly.
And he was just very wooden to me.
Okay, and I can see it. I can see it, but
I get what you're saying, but I still think see, I love this. Like, I saw this movie in the cinema. I saw this movie.
Me too.
18 times.
Okay, I didn't see that many times.
Like, oh, dude, I will fucking. I used to say.
This is the problem. You're just super fanboys for this. Like, I'm not going to.
I'm not a fanboy.
No,
you're more of a fangirl than I'm a fanboy, Derry. I genuinely have. I just like this for a film. I have no lore relation to any Marvel stuff.
No, but as a movie, like, I can turn around and say, oh, it's the greatest movie of all time. Like, I know when I turn around and say it's my favorite movie of all time, I'm just saying it's my favorite movie of all time. Is
this genuinely your favorite movie of all time?
Of all time.
This movie.
Do you know what? I'm not turning around and say this film. Actually,
Spider-Man, the one we're talking about right now.
I'm not just saying. Like, I know you're saying, like, because it's like. How can
I think that cannot be possibly true. That this is your best movie of all time.
No, and do you know why? I'll tell you why. It's because of the memories I have of this movie. It was a time in my life, man, that wasn't great, and like I was as I said to you, I wasn't didn't have a lot of friends.
Okay.
My friends I did have came to cinema with me see it and stuff. Like I used to be that cringy kid, who saw it and like. Started like running and jumping down the flights of the stairs in the cinema, thinking I was Peter Parker. That fucking stupid shit.
Oh yeah, I remember that guy.
That guy.
I was the guy you landed on.
Yeah, But like I was like, man, when I bought this movie, like every version that came out, I bought this movie in it. I watched this movie so much. I watched the director's commentary. I watched commentary. I know who made the fucking suits to this movie. Like, I have such fan members. I know it's not like the best movie of all time, but it's just my favorite movie.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what
I get
mean.
it. I get it. And it's not to say, like, I like a lot of films that I know aren't the best movies of all time, but like, let's get into it then, because you'll probably have a little bit more of an appreciation for it. I was looking at it from a movie stance, and I thought the way that it was done was really good, and it represented the character really well.
I'll go into that, which is what I actually think, because a lot of people have a different idea of Peter Parker than I might have, like, because there's so many different like variations of him. There's so many different like versions of him.
I only have this one version and the cartoon version, which are kind of two separate versions altogether. It's like, you know, Batman and Adam West Batman and Michael Keaton Batman are two different Batman.
But then you can go. Then what I'm probably looking at is you have a Batman, and you also have like Bruce Wayne. Then you have Terry McGinnis as the Batman of the future. Then you have like Damon Wayne. Then you have so many different versions.
But that's the thing. See, this is why I don't like modern comic lore, because there's like 50 different types. You know what I like doing, and I was about to say when we were talking about the comic discussion at the start, that's why I just never could get properly into comics. That's why I like graphic novels. I can buy a graphic novel and read it from start to finish, and I know the story. I don't have 50 different Spider-Men rounding up, and don't get me wrong, I like the idea of the Spider-Verse, and I like the idea of there being different, but then DC fucking did it, and it's just like, okay, now you have 50 different Batmen, and it's just like, look, you're cheating, you're like copying from each other, and it's boring as shit, and I don't know who all these Batmen are, and I have to look them up, and now I don't know who this Flash chap is, and...
I like yourself. I like what I wouldn't even dare, like I was in the comic book shop the other day, and I wouldn't even dare to try and buy a comic because I wouldn't know what I'm looking for, and there's so much, like that's the reason I don't collect comics.
The back issues and everything, I'm just like, what?
I wouldn't even know what to look for, but like I was in with my friend, and he was on about like a black edition. I was like, what's that? And he goes, it's a really rare edition, and he tried to explain to me, but then he was saying, of this edition, there's 3 different covers of this edition, and there's like separate issues, and I was like, what are you talking? I had no clue. So like I try not to read into it too much, because if I'm like, I
feel like I'm losing out. You know, I'm losing some part of that story, and I don't like that. When I buy a game, I buy all the DLC for it because I feel like I'm missing something.
I think you're like me. You're like a completionist. Like if you get into something, you're all in.
I need to be informed about it, and again, you know, we had this discussion last week about The Crow. It was like I felt like I wasn't informed. There was like things left unsaid, and there was meat needing to be added. And see, that's the thing with this film. That's why they do such a good job, because by this stage in the comic, like there's like 50 different villains and everything. They just stick and keep it simple. They keep it simple. I think, you know, what's the name of the rival corporation in it? I think that's the corporation no, Quest. Aren't they the guys that make Hulk?
Yeah.
I like the way they just slip it in. They don't say, oh, you know, and what's your Bruce Banner?
In this movie, Bruce Banner. But in this movie, when James Cameron it was supposed to be Doc Ock and Green Goblin.
You don't need it. Yeah. You don't need it. Like Willem Dafoe did such a good job.
Oh.
So.
Yes.
So
showed up Tobey Maguire.
They go into the bus, and there's that like seat taken moment from Forrest Gump, you know, seats taken, like everybody's sliding over.
The girl that said to him first, not you're gonna care. The girl she said to him first, you know, the really nerdy with the she's actually like in the comic. I can't remember what her name is, but she's actually a love interest to Peter Parker's.
Okay.
Like they were supposed to expand on her little story, and obviously they didn't.
James Cameron's probably going to stick her up the front in a tight little dress.
Yeah.
Sit on me, please, Parker. Come on.
Sit on my face.
Sit on my face. I bet the bus driver, he's such an asshole. He'd be like, yeah, no problem. Whatever. I don't give a shit about my job. I hope I die today.
But No, look, go on. Sorry, you were. I keep cutting you off, boy. Sorry, go on. Keep talking.
No, yeah, I'm just saying that in this part again, they just put it really nicely. They start off. I think it is actually the start of the comic where that's the first few pages of him running to catch the bus. To me, okay, he looks wooden. You know, he does look a little bit like Kirsten Dunst kind of a thing. However, he looks awkward to me, and I think he looks perfectly awkward. That guy that doesn't know what to do and more like shocked all the time. He can't. That's the way I took it.
Yeah, it didn't bother me so much at the beginning because it felt like it was in character. But
Sure.
as it got on, I mean, he got the balls to talk to Mary Jane, in a sense, and yet he still had the same face he had when his uncle died. Like, it never computed in his eyes. He smiled, he was sad, he cried, his eyes were the same the whole time.
I think that's just Tobey Maguire, but
Yeah,
I get it.
I
I get it, and
I
you know,
don't like it.
I agree. I agree with that.
Well, considering like who? Sorry, I have it here. Who's up for this? So, people who were up for actually the role were, believe it or not, you know when James Cameron had the script, so he'd already given the parts to guess who?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
For
So,
what? Peter
when-
Parker? For who?
For Peter Parker. And not only no,
Why?
I couldn't believe this when I heard
I
it.
love Leo, but no.
Yeah, but think of the whole Leo's hair and the Leo
No,
would
what, he
look,
would never have accepted that. That would have been a horrible role for him.
Yeah, but Leo DiCaprio, no matter what, would have fucking done an amazing job in whatever role he does. So
I don't think that would have been a good Spider-Man at all.
No,
I don't
he's
know.
not Spider-Man.
Well-
He's a fantastic actor, but not Spider-Man.
Heath Ledger was supposed to take on the role after.
Oh no! Just why are all
Sorry,
these
go on.
tall people? Tobey
And then-
Maguire
And around
suited
that
it
time,
perfectly.
Heath Ledger was like
Ten Things I Hate
young
About You.
heartthrob.
Yeah.
He was like,
And
what,
then-
10 Things I Hate About You, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
And then when Heath Ledger turned it down, they went to give the role to Freddie Prinze Jr. They actually offered the role to Freddie Prinze Jr. And then when he was coming on board, and then Sam Raimi took the director's chair, and Sam Raimi said, "No, he doesn't do the role." And Sam Raimi's actual quote was, "He couldn't even buy a ticket to the show." Sam Raimi hates Freddie Prinze Jr.
Already.
You couldn't even buy a ticket to the screening because he didn't want him to go see the movie that much. He didn't. Like, he blatantly said, "I won't take the role. I won't take on the director's chair if he gets the fucking role."
Nah.
wow.
But then, what happens then when Sam Raimi took on the role of directors? James
Hang on a
Franco
second. Isn't Freddie Prinze Jr. black?
No. Freddie Prinze Jr. is from like Scooby-Doo, and
she's all that.
she's all that.
Who does he play in
He
Scooby-Doo?
married Buffy. He
Fred.
married Buffy. He married Sarah
Angel?
Michelle Gellar. No, he married Sarah Michelle
No.
Gellar. Sorry,
Oh.
not Buffy.
I don't know.
Something funny we're talking about. David Boreanaz is supposed to be Venom in Spider-Man 3.
Oh, lads, come on now.
Well,
Anyway,
let's be
next
honest. Anyone would have been better than fucking Topher Grace. Let's be honest about that.
I watched him in a horror movie the other night, and I actually really enjoyed it.
It wasn't he in
Yeah,
that
it is.
70s show?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
liked him in that 70s show.
I fucking love Topher Grace, but just not as fucking Eddie Brock. Oh my god, no.
Yeah,
He
okay.
was. But you know what?
It was a bit weird as Eddie Brock in to be honest. That was a horrible film. The third one was just a bad film.
I
Bad.
have special memories. I'll tell you my special memories of that movie later.
Tell me
on.
your
The reason-
Okay, we'll get to the special memories in a second then.
No. I'll give you a really quick thing. The reason why is because my daughter was actually supposed to be born on the 4th of May. Evie was supposed to be born on the 4th of May. And that movie was actually coming out on the 4th of May. And clearly I was sitting in the hospital with Amy and like pissed off because I was like, how
I want to
dare
be
you-
watching Spider-Man 3.
How dare you have my child right now and being in pain, and the beds in the hospital were actually all taken up. So they sent Amy home, and Amy said to me, "Go to the film." And so my daughter, I always say this day, Evie stayed in her mom's belly, so I could go see Spider-Man. So that movie will always hold a special place in my fucking heart for that.
If she knew about that film in advance, she knew she would have been doing you wrong.
She knew she was daddy's girl from day one before she was out in the old world.
Horrible, horrible film. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm kind of
Super.
I don't need superhero films anymore after this, to be honest with you.
it was about like it was too much in the movie. Again, they keep doing this fucking putting too much in the
Wasn't
movie.
there Sandman in the film and fucking?
But the Sandman was supposed to be the only villain in it.
And that's not really a great villain, to be honest with you. Sandman.
I love the Sandman. It
Yeah.
was supposed to be actually the Vulture, and the Vulture was actually supposed to be oh my god, what's his name? Oh, what's his name? Being John Malkovich. John Malkovich.
Being John Malkovich. Charlie Sheen.
No, John Malkovich was supposed to
John
be
Malkovich.
the Vulture, yeah.
Yeah, he would have been cool. I would have liked that as the Vulture.
I love John Malkovich.
What's that guy's name? What's that guy's name?
What? He was in that film, Being John Malkovich.
It's a Jackal.
Steve
Jackal.
McQueen.
It's Jackal.
Jackal. He was in Jackal.
Sorry, let's get back to this movie. Sorry.
So.
This movie basically took up for where Batman and Robin, which I actually like the movie as much as the fucking Joel Schumacher made a balls of putting nips on.
Was
Batman.
that George Clooney in it?
Yeah, it was.
What?
terrible,
Come
but it
on,
was-
man. I'm putting a Joe Biden here. Come on, man. Don't.
But
Why do you like that film with Arnold Schwarzenegger? That
No,
was like
no,
a
that's-
wreck of a film.
That's the other one, isn't it?
No! George Clooney and Arnold Schwarzenegger? Or is that the one with Val Kilmer?
no, that's Batman Forever. It was Batman and Rob. That was Batman Forever.
Batman and Robin had Chris O'Donnell in it.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Batman
but
and
Batman
Robin
Forever.
Batman and Robin had Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze now. Eyes to see you.
Oh, and he was like he had like a tie on. He was like a scientist. Oh
Yeah,
my
what's he got?
God, who did? Why?
The Iceman coming.
Anyway, as for Spider-Man,
Yeah, exactly. Let's get back to Spider-Man. We're not even like past the bus scene yet. You fucking talking
we
about.
have the time to do this though, so thanks.
But this movie took, like, it basically took superhero movies out of that slump, because after that movie, man, Batman was dead. The superhero movie, no one wanted to touch superhero movie after that because of what happened that movie. It's fucking bombed. But like this movie then, like, revitalized the whole superhero genre after that. You know what I mean? And go, Jamie.
Oh no,
That's
you
all.
go. No, you go.
No, it did. It fucking like, and as I say, I know, like, when I say, oh, you enjoyed this movie, I know how bad Batman and Robin was. I fucking know how, but it's like the old, like, I enjoyed it because of what it is. It's a stupid, campy thing.
Can't be,
But-
exactly, yeah.
Exactly. But like,
But that's the thing. They could have done that with this film so easily. Like,
yeah.
they could have done a campy thing. And over and over and over again in this film, they are so close to campy, but the acting, in my opinion, is just so well done that it literally brings you into the universe. It's like the difference between Batman, which is set in a fictional place in Gotham, whereas this is set in New York and real things are happening. And like the year before the movie came out, obviously 9/11, they had to ban the trailer. You know, even that scene when they were like flying around, all of that could have been hammed up and done so campy, and they were like inches away from it, and they still pulled it off. And that's why, again, I think this is like the reintroduction of the American film back in to the worldwide space. Before that, you had these small films that were really, really popular. You know, Tim Burton kind of 90s films, and there was like a few love romances, but this was the first teenage, I wouldn't say adult kind of a film, but there was adult themes to it. And it was one of those for all the family kind of films, but done at a feature film. When we get into the film, like you said, it does it really quickly, and we have again some of those nice little tropes. He doesn't want to be invited to sit down by anybody. He's a bit nerdy, and then we see his friend Harry in his Rolls Royce come up with Willem Dafoe, and Willem Dafoe is so young in this film. It is amazing. I love it though. I think they tried to put him as like a bit of an asshole, but he's like a good dad. He's not a bad dad at all. His son is a complete asshole.
Even in the comics, like Norman Osborn, I'll leave you to. Sorry, I know I keep stopping you.
Oh, continue.
Like at the heart of it, Norman Osborn is like a real good dad. Like he's a businessman first, but he's a dad first, but like he's a proper businessman. But like I like the fact that, like you just said in this movie, they didn't paint him out to be a fucking asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when he, I can't
They
go farther in
could
the movie.
they could have so easily painted him as a complete dickhead, and they didn't. They actually did it like they ramped that bit up well, and I think that's because of, to be honest with you, Willem Dafoe played it so well. He had such a range in emotion that if you put an angry actor there, you're like, okay, I want him to be the Green Goblin. Not even 50% through the film, he was still playing like a timid kind of a guy.
I think they have to though. Doesn't it lead on to something like, doesn't Harry take over? And
That in the second film, and he becomes the Hobgoblin as far as I'm aware. I'm gonna get another beer.
Because I think that came from like the final kind of scenes where Harry's like, you know, he was obviously heartbroken. So I mean, his dad had to be a really good dad for him to be scarred that much.
Did you see? Yeah, because obviously Peter. Well, see, I love the fact that what they did, they really stayed true to the comic. Because all Harry wanted was his father's approval, and it's not that he ever got his father's approval. See in the movie when Norman is after being the Goblin, when he becomes a Goblin, and Harry walks in and said, "She's in love with Peter," and he gives him a big hug. Like he could have not done that, but have you seen, Jamie? Have you seen The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2? Andrew Garfield.
No, I seen the first one and I just did not like it at all.
In the second one, do you know the actor Chris Cooper?
No. What else has he been in?
He played that whole movie was fucking fantastic. The whole movie was awful. Chris Cooper plays Norman Osborn, and he's dying of this disease that turns it's like genetic, and that's obviously why they need Spider-Man's blood. And it's like, but like, he's only in the movie to set up the next movie, which never happened. In that movie, I think he's in the movie for all of 3 minutes, and in that 3 minutes, he's fucking asshole. Like, a total asshole. And like that's why I love this Norman Osborn, Willem Dafoe, because he as much as he's like his last line in the movie is, "Don't tell Harry."
Don't tell Harry. Well, I completely agree, and again, they got such a fantastic actor, and that's why I'm saying it's a feature-length film. It feels like what they're trying to do now, they're trying to recreate that every single year with 3 different types of films, and this was the first time it had been done in such a fantastic way and perfectly balanced. You know, you got your great actors, your kind of undergroundy actors, maybe actors that have been in small films, and then it just comes together really well. When they get into the laboratory kind of part, when they're introducing, actually, you know what? I like the teacher in this. He just seems like a real teacher. You know that guy where he's like taking the hacky sack.
Yeah.
I kind of like that guy.
Behave.
But
he's like their age.
But the age thing, I think, is fine, to be honest with you, because
you just have to get over it, you know. It's there. You just have to like move along.
When they get out of college and they're kind of a little bit more grown up, when they're looking for jobs, that would have looked awkward with an Andrew Garfield or a Tom Holland, because they look about 12, and it's like those guys wouldn't be looking for jobs. So I think they got a nice balance for it. I don't know what age was Tobey Maguire in 2002.
24.
24, come on, that's not that bad. You know, it's not that...
But Tobey Maguire looked like he was an older 20-year-old. Like, the fact that I don't think they... Like, only the real fan... Not the real fan. Only fans of the actual character Spider-Man would like you said earlier, in the animated show, he looked like he was like 39.
Yeah.
Because only like real fans will pick up saying, he's like way too old to play that fucking character. Like, they could have got like Josh Hutcherson auditioned for Spider-Man.
Who's Josh Hutcherson?
Hunger Games.
I've never seen the Hunger Games.
Well then, whatever.
Never mind. He's only ever been in that.
But Josh Hutcherson looks like he looks like Tom Holland young. He looks like Tom Holland. So to me, like, I never really got fucking hung up on the age thing. It didn't really bother me, but obviously, like, I have a friend of mine who has said this massive in comics, and he always said that it bothered him that Tobey Maguire was too old to play it. I'm like, you're reaching too much for it.
But again, he's when it comes into this kind of laboratory scene, it again, he could have done like, he acted really awkward throughout it, and that's, I think, his brand. To be honest with you, I think that's Tobey Maguire's brand.
I think that was just him doing that.
Yeah, and like, he had like the sweats all the time, basically throughout the film. He had like the sweats until he became Spider-Man. So they started introducing you to the spider sense. They were like, oh, some spiders are able to jump the webs and do the things, and then they're like, oh, this one has a spider sense.
But did you see on? You have to check it out, because I only saw it, like, I saw it about fucking when it came out years ago. On the thing when she's talking to spiders and Toby's talking, and you know, like, I watch these videos like 10 facts you might not know about Spider-Man. When it shows the characteristics of the spider that bit him, the very end one,
Massive penis.
Yeah, it does. It says speed twice, and then underneath the second speed it says comedic quips.
What's that?
Like, fuck off. It's loaded like on a little monitor.
No, I didn't hear what you said.
It says speed, spider sense, tensile strength of the webs, and it says speed again, and then it says comedic quips.
Oh, comedic quips. Yes.
But that's good. But I was like, you would never, only for like the lads, obviously, whoever online saw this. I was like, and I read it, and they show you on the thing, and I'm like, that's fucking brilliant.
I like
that's
that.
amazing.
But that's it, and it's like, it is done in fun, and I like the way they have those little Easter eggs there. That's kind of cool. Like, especially the way that the spider is shown. That's obviously a little. Was that a real spider? Did they get it? Like, did they actually had to put a little dress thing on the spider or something?
What they did, actually, believe it or not, they actually, I thought it was fucking ridiculous. It's amazing and ridiculous. They painted the body of a spider for that. Like, it's obviously part of it was CGI. But I read they painted the body of a spider for that really vibrant paint.
Yeah.
But when it's on his hand, obviously, when it's obviously fucking CGI. But when they filmed it, when it was coming down, that was all real.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Toby had like a fear of spiders, so they were actually going to film us trying to land on him, but he had a fear obviously spiders. I wouldn't fucking want that land on me. I'm sorry, I wouldn't. But he said
it's an acting spider. It's fine.
His words were, it got a little too real when he walked in and seen it like a thing full of spiders. He said, no fucking thank you.
I don't want to be Spider-Man anymore. You know what? Forget it. I'm actually a massive arachnophobic.
Yeah, forget it.
But yeah, like that going to that effort to paint a little spider again isn't really something you see today, and you can see that it is a spider. And there's bits that are CGI, but throughout the film they use CGI sparingly in places where they kind of need to use it, you know, and it's not done badly.
That came, sorry to cut you off, that came actually from, like, Sony hired in, they spent a lot of money, he's like an FX, like special FX art, like, he's just a legend in the...
It's like Light and Magic or something like it, like the...
He's just a genius, he's done everything. John Dykstra is his name, and he is a fucking, like, that's why they weren't even going to use that much CGI, but he said, when he's like crawling the walls and stuff, he's the one who kind of showed him how to do all that and how to, like, use this, not like, he was the one who said we'll use practical effects when we can and use CGI when we can, not to make it a whole CGI movie. Because I was like that, and it was the best fucking decision. Like, everything happened in this movie and snowballed perfectly because things were like used perfectly, and if things had to go, like, if this had been a whole CGI movie, it wouldn't look as good at all.
It wouldn't have, and again, that's what I kind of one of my pet hates about the new Marvel movies is that it has that just pure CGI. It has that Wizard of Oz effect where it's just like everything CGI that doesn't really matter.
Tony Stark's fucking suit, Tom Holland's fucking.
But that's the thing, like literally down to the suit. The Green Goblin in this is wearing a full suit, and again, that could look so hammy. And there's parts in it where I'm like, oh, just about, and I'm like, no, it's Willem Dafoe. It's like, bam, straight back into it. I'm fine.
But do you know where they got? Do you know where they got the idea for the suit?
Yeah, where? It's because it's not obviously a comic.
Oh, Power Rangers.
Or the Power Rangers.
But actually, they had an animatronic face. So if you remember, like the Goblin from the animated series we watched years ago, and everyone else watched, they had an animatronic face. It was like a green face, like a rubbery face. It looked identical to the comic, the graphic novel, the animated series. And when I saw footage of that, it looked fucking amazing. It looked so cool. But because the suit was kind of a robotic suit, they just went with it like a robotic head. But like a lot of people were like, they want a version released with the animatronic head because they shot a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
Because it was like makeup. It was actually onto his face, so it looked like his mouth was talking and stuff. Like, I never had a problem with the
Me either.
I just look at what William Dafoe wore in that movie, and then what fucking Jamie. Thank God you haven't seen that version. It's fucking shocking.
But that's the thing. Like, I think they pulled a fast one by doing that. Like, we're reinventing the suit. Sam Raimi did such a good job on Spider-Man's costume in that they still have it in current games.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's one of those things where it's like, wow, that's impressive. And even the Green Goblin, that could look so hammy, and they actually did, in my opinion, a really good job at making it look a little bit threatening. You know, that kind of like, because it was around the time when America started becoming a little bit more militarized, and they were kind of introducing that a little bit more into it, but it looked like one of those futuristic glider things.
They had a reason for it. They were saying it was a battle suit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like for military contracts, so they had a reason for it. It wasn't just like, oh, we'll just throw him on a fucking glider and we'll put him in a big metal suit. Like,
that's where it gets into it. So yeah, like, we have the spider biting the spider biting Peter, and then it kind of goes into Oscorp. So it goes into the next part, and it starts off with that guy, and he's like completely bald, and he's like that. Like, you don't get to see the helmet yet, which I thought was great. You get to see the suit, so it introduces it as this like military suit on a glider, and I thought the glider looks awesome. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that was something that they were probably looking at doing in the military, like that kind of a glider thing. Honest to God.
It was identical to what I love about it is they just took what worked in the novel. They took what worked in the fucking comic, and it was identical to the animated show, and identical to the like the original. Only for it wasn't fucking purple, but like they said, why change it? If it's not broke, don't fix it.
But they did a good job, and they kept faithful to the time, because again, they could have went to the comics, and they probably, like, even at the time, they were like, the Hollywood was a little bit against doing that, going back to the comics, like X-Men, for example. They scrapped all of the proper costumes, which was stupid because those were fucking amazing costumes. Even though they were yellow and blue, they looked. You need some staples, and you can deviate a little bit further in others.
In the movie, your man said, he goes, "You actually go outside in these things," and your man said, "What would you prefer, yellow spandex?"
Yeah.
Well, because they did have the outfits. They actually they were in production making it, and then Ryan Singer saw them, and he was like, "No."
Just a big yellow lycra with these like blue hoops.
Because you look at what came before that, Blade, dark kind of fucking.
Yeah.
I don't think, but that's why in the Wolverine the movie, Hugh Jackman opens up the briefcase at the end of it, and there's like his old like mustard and brown costume, like with the big like things coming out.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool to look at, but like.
As a human, live action, sometimes live action stuff just doesn't translate very well.
I don't think it would have been taken as serious if it
No.
They did.
I think you could do it. There's a way to pull it off nowadays with CGI and stuff like that, but at the time, if you were to make costumes, it probably would have looked a bit hammy. So now we're into the kind of the introducing the bad guy, the kind of premise of Osborn's motivation of trying to get this glider up and running and everything, and I think, what is it? They've already been to Oscorp. I think they introduce a little bit before this actually. They've already introduced the kind of Oscorp, and at this point. Norman is getting gassed. I think it's after the.
He's getting gassed. He's getting gassed by Dr. Stram. And little thing that I know probably they wouldn't go into, but the guy that Dr. Stram, his friend who Norman shoves through him, he actually became Cyborg Man. He's actually like a really big villain in Spider-Man that they never used. They were probably it was never planned to use him again, but
I think But wasn't because I'm merging those two incidents where you see the guy on top of the glider with the bald head, and then the gassing incident are they the same scene? Are they in the same thing together?
Because remember they bring the military in. They bring General Ross, or not General Ross. Sorry, that's the Hulk. They bring General in. I can't remember his name. And remember he says, "It better work. I'm gonna pull your fund." And then your man says, "We gotta push human trials." So he tries that himself.
No, yeah, I think we need to go back to formula. And he's like, "Back to formula."
Formula. It wasn't. But no, it's like there's a scene in between that. It's where it happens like. Peter goes in. You will say, "Do you want somebody?" He's like, "No."
That's it. He goes, "Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm fine."
And between and he like pulls himself and he's like, "I gotta go to sleep."
I am Cornholio. I need TP for my bunghole.
He wakes up then he's all buff.
Yeah. God, I wish that would happen. So was that actually CGI? Do you know when you can see his like scrawny body? Did he get buff?
They had to see, yeah. He was actually big at that stage, but they actually had to CGI. They had to see.
They did like Chris Evans on him, basically. Yeah. Where Chris Evans was like ridiculous. He was like my size.
Yeah.
My body
his
shape.
His head was huge.
Yeah, it was a massive head. Why didn't they shrink his head down?
I love it.
Like a Beetlejuice. No.
Yeah, they had to actually make his. They didn't do it as much as they.
It was a quick shot, like it was a quick kind of panning shot.
But he kept saying like because they shot his first of all him like, and he was never really a skinny Tobey Maguire, so he had a kind of a bit of gut. But he said no, we need to. It didn't obviously suit Sam Raimi. He said no, we need to see you really skinny going to this drastic change.
Yeah.
So they obviously, but like there was so many. Sam Raimi filmed he had like a handheld camera with him at all times, so he filmed everything. So like there's so many things in that movie that were like when he talks about the director, his commentary and stuff, like, you know, if you watch his wallpaper in the fucking room, his wallpaper in Peter's room is web wallpaper.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I like those kind of little Easter eggs, and that's what I like about Sam Raimi. He kind of has he puts a little bit of effort in for repeat viewing.
And you know the car that Flash pulls up and when he's talking to Mary Jane.
Yes.
That's Sam Raimi's car.
That's a nice car.
Yeah, he used that in all his movies.
So we're 18 minutes in now, and that's a pretty astonishing amount of time. 18 minutes in, and we're already probably halfway through the act. We're already defining the character's strengths and what he'll gain, basically, with the spiders, the spider sense. You can see the transformation. You're setting up the bad guy. That is the origin story done in 18 minutes. And that's 3 minutes of credits. So that's 15 minutes. You've gotten your two guys in. Bam. Great start. I think it's fantastic.
This movie, the origin was told perfectly.
Yep.
It was to me it was done fucking. It couldn't be done any better. I don't think. That's why in movies they didn't do an origin story with Tom Holland. It was like, oh,
they don't need to.
Yeah, but this is it. They did it in like a quick, like your man who's supposed to be Gonk, but he's not Gonk in the movies. Gonk is like Tom is like he's like the Chinese friend of Peter Parker in the new whatever.
Okay.
But he doesn't play. But it's the new guy plays him anyway, and he just says to Peter, they just like make a joke at the origin story, which I did. First of all, I was like, no, I want an origin story, but I'm like, no, you did it in 3 fucking movies already.
Yeah.
So, in the new Tom Holland, your man says, well, so where's the spider? And really quickly, Tom Holland says, the spider's dead, Ned. And that's it. That's it. And that's like, you know, that's all they needed. Like, this movie was done. There was a lot of fucking heart put into this movie. It was done right for Spider. This one was done due to Spider-Man fans. Sam Raimi might have done this to make a lot of I don't think Sam Raimi done it to make money. I think Sam Raimi done it to tell the fucking true story.
Well, I think this was, to be honest with you, it feels like it was one of those things where if this didn't go right, you wouldn't have your Marvel movies like you have today. If this failed in the box office, they would have just went, nope, sorry, we're not doing any more of those again.
But they expected it. They expected to fall flat in his face. And then when they showed the press screenings, or not the press screenings, the normal screenings to people without the CGI, people lost their fucking minds. Like, they actually showed test footage of Tobey Maguire in the movie.
Yeah.
And certain scenes, and they were like, oh my god, it was like fucking, because it had never been done. Like, you know, you see him swinging through the streets, like really early footage, and people were like, oh my fucking god, like
it was super impressive, and that's what I'm saying. They were trying to show off a lot and still keep the audience with the special effects. Then at that part, he does that cool bit when he basically runs down the stairs. You know, when he does that, like running down, and he kind of runs along the stairs. That is Tobey Maguire doing that.
Yeah, that's Sam Raimi filming, and he had his handheld camera, and he did it. Tobey Maguire did it, and Tobey Maguire was actually going to do it as an outtake, like take the piss. And Sam Raimi was like, and he kept it in, and Tobey Maguire didn't see that till actually they opened the night.
I love it.
It fucking adds everything to it. It's just he got his powers, and but it's like when he landed, he did it because right after that, in like the outtakes, he starts laughing. But they kept it, and they moved into the scene. It's fucking brilliant.
I like it, and it is that kind of like,
I'll drink to that.
I'll drink to that. I like the way they it was a small little bit, and it kind of like, oh, they didn't make a big deal out of it. The camera didn't change. It was just there, and it was like, okay, cool. I like that.
It's like you said, it's the little details.
Yeah. I think this is the part where Uncle Ben's then like, don't be late. I'm going to be painting the kitchen. Uncle Ben.
Every time that breaks my heart. He's the only Uncle Ben I fucking like. Well.
That's so true. He reminds me of like an old working chap. He actually, you know what? He reminds me of my godfather. He just had like that old working man kind of attitude. He's like, I'm going to paint the kitchen. Yeah, it was like, oh, I'm an electrician that got fired for like 65 years or whatever.
He's the only one that actually, like, you could see him, like, Aunt May, Rosemary, in fucking I Love You. But him and Aunt, you could see, you know, where he's changed the light bulb and she's like giving out to him. It's like, you really did a fucking proper married couple, and you were like, these are really married. These guys are actually really fucking married. Rather now than you don't see in the new one, you see fucking Marissa Tomei, and you don't hear about Uncle Ben, or you know.
No, he's dead. He's long dead.
It's just passed over. They just totally.
What they should have done is like, you know, the way they keep
I understand why they're doing it in the new one, because it's already been done. It's already been told. But you still need to give something.
They should have done like what they did with Marlon Brando in Superman. They should have kept him as like Uncle Ben in pictures, or when they do flashbacks, it's like that actor. Because I think he was just perfect. He is Uncle Ben.
Have you seen Into the Spider-Verse?
No, I haven't seen any of those.
Forget about
Into the Spider-Verse is worth it.
But they have him in it. Peter Parker. It's Jamie. When you leave this podcast, watch that movie.
Okay.
They have him in it. I can't remember. Is it Chris something? His name is.
He's a pretty famous actor, I think. He's pretty well known.
But in the Spider-Verse, he's in it.
Okay.
And he's actually up in, and he says to like Peter Parker, he's like, with great responsibility comes. And I'm like, when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, they just brought me back to the fucking originals. It was fucking amazing.
See, I like that kind of an idea for a film, and that's like a one-off. You're like, they're not doing like a second one or anything, are they?
They are, yeah.
For fuck's sake, they just can't do it.
No, but this is an animated. It's a whole other universe type thing.
Okay.
Oscar Isaac is playing. See, the Spider-Man 99. If I go into all the Spider-Mans now, I'll be here all night. Spider-Man 99 is obviously from 2099.
Is that when you put a flake in him?
Yeah.
Hey!
This fucking guy, Miguel Nagares. He's just Spider-Man from the future, but everything is different. The suit is the suit is animated, like
cool.
But he has like different powers. Do you know any other Spider-Mans besides Peter Parker? No.
I know Miles Morales, and that's it.
Well, do you know Ben Reilly?
No, I don't know any. I'm not that deep into it, really. I don't.
Okay.
That's kind of what turns me off a little bit. I get someone else takes over, and I'm good with the first step, but then it just starts going off, and I'm just like, forget forget it.
They're not taking over. It's just obviously like Spider-Verse, so they're obviously. But now in like real life, you see things like videos of Tom Holland walking along, and people asking them. Obviously, these people asking about the Spider-Verse. He's like, look, I don't care about Spider-Verse. I'm the only Spider-Man there is.
I'm the only Spider-Man.
But like, look back to this Spider movie. I think this movie was fucking.
Well,
when they say perfectly cast, this movie is perfectly cast.
This is where it starts to get a little bit real, and this is what I like about the film. They don't shy away from this like MJ being like like her dad is basically verbally abusing her, like out the door, being like, "You're nothing, and you'll never be nothing. Get to school.
Get to school.
Get to school."
Road, yeah.
So it's like one of those things where it's like it's not hinted at. It's done in a very obvious way, and that's how they kind of get everybody's character a little bit developed. Like MJ's character isn't too well developed. She's just a little bit of a pawn in this one. She comes out a little bit more in the second one, but she just seems like she's there and she's not really. There's not too much to her. She's there to link in everybody.
Which is ironic considering the opening kind of monologue.
It's about MJ, which it kind of. Well, see, that's the thing. The first two acts are about MJ, and then the ending is a payoff because it's about MJ technically, and it's about him.
She's like a main character, but she's like she's just in the side the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, forget about her. They bring her back into it.
You can kind of see why they did that. Like she's the kind of popular girl at school or whatever, and that kind of. Again, we're only a little bit into the 2-hour movie, and she's yet to be in it a little bit more. Yeah. Where you get an idea of it. And this is the part, she's the cool kid. What I like about this, the camera work, where Peter is standing there trying to, like, do that conversation where it was like, hey MJ, I was just wondering. But in the background, you can see the bus. You can see the bus coming. Yeah. And then, like, she gets, like, hops into her friend's car, and they drive off. But I love that scene, because it just, if you're not aware, it just comes in and drives past, and then, like you said, he does the sticky hand thing.
That's so many times, because he actually had to grab, if you watch it closely, he had to grab the piece of paper, and it was a bit torn, so he had to grab it but he had to grab it. Sam Raimi used to take the piss at Tobey. He used to try and make him grab it, because they could have easily put something in his hand.
Yeah, like glue.
Make him grab it with the last 2 fingers and pull it off, but every time Tobey would have to run after the fucking bus.
But I like that, and that's kind of like the hero's journey is beginning at that stage. Like he's kind of gotten to grip with all his powers. It was kind of done overnight, which was nice. He didn't need to really worry about it too much, and now
Peter, are you okay? I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I've like 9 abs now, but I'm fine.
I'm 9 million abs, and I don't even need my glasses anymore. Whatever.
Oh, Sam made a balls that because they actually, he puts the glasses up to himself. The whole lens of the camera that Sam Raimi used, like, went blurry. So he had to fix it again in post-production to actually just make the lens.
Oh, okay, yeah, because you have to see around the lens is perfect, yeah. So then we pop into seeing Osborn on the... No, do we...
Then it goes to Norman in the gas chamber.
Yeah. No. The gas chamber is already done. We see him on the floor now, and it's like... Harry comes in and he's like, oh, what happened last night? And I love the way they don't put 2 and 2 together. It's like, hey, one of your scientists is just brutally murdered, and it's like, I have no idea what happened last night. It's like, no questions asked.
Sounds like a good Saturday night.
Yeah, wow, what were you doing last night? By the way, someone killed your scientist. So again, this is where I like where the movie kind of starts picking up on the Green Goblin. They don't overexpose it too much. There's like little bits here and there, and then he's there. Like it's dotted throughout the start of Peter Parker trying to get to grips with his powers, and they finish on a really good part. With everything already explained, the Green Goblin and the Spider-Man is already really developed, which is cool. So
he blows up the general, like when they go on, they're testing they're testing their own glider.
Yeah, which is a piece of shit.
Yeah, but all of a sudden, I always remember because you're watching it like, what the fuck is gonna happen? And all of a sudden, your man said, something's coming in, and all you hear from a distance is,
I love that voice. I think that comes into it in a little bit. This is the part with the lunch fight where he grabs the where Mary Jane's falls. You know he did that. That's an actual thing.
That was 100. It was they say it was right. It's myth that it was done 149 takes, or he done it 104 times. He didn't. He done it 16 times. Now there's, you know, the jelly and the juice. There was magnets, so the magnet landed, you see it. And on the apple, when like just out of frame, someone was standing there with like on a ladder. They dropped stuff. So he actually did I think it was like 24 times he did. But like you see it, and on the apple, if you stop it, like to stop the apple rolling, there was like masking tape. So when it hit it stopped. And it was like there was magnets and the jelly and the green jelly. But fair fucking play, like.
But again, something that probably took a number of takes, was a good laugh, and they didn't need CGI for it one bit. They did that.
But
you know,
I never understood why. Was he supposed to have like perfect equilibrium or something to stop the apple from rolling?
I think it's like he has like that slow down time. I don't know. They don't really kind of explain it too much, but
even if he caught it normally, the apple would still roll. It makes no fucking sense.
He's magic.
Right now.
You do that. You text him.
Hey Sam.
Hey Sam.
He did pick up.
Well, leave him a voicemail.
I did.
Oh, did you? Good. You know what it reminds me of? Have you ever seen the making of those food ads where they actually have like conveyor belts of like food like slamming into each other and the milk's hitting and stuff like that? I really like how that scene was done, and with the web. Again, this is I guess why it's nice for him to discover he has these powers, and it's quick and easy to just have them. His web is there. You know, his sticking power is there.
You notice when he pulled off the fork and he pulled his hand down, he was making the fucking sand. And even the fight then is next.
The fight is fucking so well done.
The spitball coming at your man's thing, I was like,
I love it. And the fly.
That slow-mo around the room.
That was great.
Well, like, that was done way before The Matrix. And then when The Matrix happened, it was like...
No, Matrix was out already.
What?
Yep, so because they do bullet time in this. And I was like, much respect for not having done it at every single fucking point. But Matrix came out 3 years before this.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Yeah. Because they do bullet time in it with when he's in the burning building. But at this point, they do it really well. And you know when he flashed, like, he does this, and he goes... Yeah. I love that. I love that bit. But the flip and the punch and everything, it's just done really well. Quick, nice action.
He does the flips, right? He does 4 flips, but if you slow down, you can see his wallet when he's doing the flips in the air. And when your man goes to punch him, when your man goes to grab from the back, he does this whole going back thing. And it was the first, like, that's how he got the idea to the upside down kiss with Mary Jane, when he just looked at Mary Jane.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's what they say. It's how they say they got the idea, but I presume they had the idea before that.
So, well, I like the way that fight was done as well is just nice and quick. The punch was great, and then the food fell on his face, perfect. I wonder how they did that camera effect though. Like, did they have to CGI all of that? Like, did they actually have cameras around and merge all the photos like a panoramic? Like, how difficult would that have been in the year 2002?
Well, they did. It was all separate shots.
So they just kind of merged all these different shots together, effectively.
Yeah, so camera. So for everything you see, so when he done the flip, they had him on like wires.
Yeah.
So they had every angle that they used. They only had one camera to film that. So like, and then obviously when you see the fucking slow motion, the lads were, which is ridiculous, because instead of doing like a punch, they had the lads do a really slow motion, and then Tobey would go.
I like the little highs as like, huh? Like,
But it was like, it's obviously the fucking spitball and the fly and stuff is obviously CGI, but I mean, like, it's, you know, saying it out loud, it's ridiculous.
But I like
so
it was done a little bit tongue in cheek, and again, like I was saying before, you know, it could have easily been done for cringe, and it didn't. It was like just on the cusp of it being like, you know, oh, they're using bullet time again, but they didn't do it at that point anyway. And this is the part, like, he runs away after the fight then, and then the self-discovery part where I find kind of up until this point they haven't really mentioned any of the superpowers. They've just shown you for 99% of it, they've only shown you that he doesn't need glasses anymore. They've shown you that he has like ripped abs. They've shown you that he's the super strength and reflexes. They haven't said, oh my god, I have all these magical powers. They've just done it, and it's done really well. And the fact that he doesn't have any friends to relate to kind of works as well with that character. You know, it's not like he's talking to his friend all the time about it.
He only has, like, more and more when they went on, they kind of gave him more friends with Gonk and Harry Osborn. Like, he's anyway. But, like, he really has, and in this movie they show that he has no one to fucking talk about with this movie. You know, he has no one to talk to about these powers to.
I like that though.
Whereas in the new movie he's fucking, like, everyone knows he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, this is where we get to the wall climbing bit, and this is basically the Batman bit where, you know, he's like, dun, 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 dun. And I love that. Like, they obviously did it sideways, right? They put the floor down. Again, they could have easily, again, at the time, they couldn't have. That would have looked shit if they did that CGI. Like, imagine.
But even his, like, if you watch his hands, if you watch it back and you watch his, like, his thumbs, like, bend in a really weird way. And he has those, like, spider hands. And
yeah, like, well thought out.
It was just shot. Like, especially, like, they could have done it in anywhere, but, like, especially in, like, an alleyway and fucking, no one saw him climb up the wall.
That feels like that film. It's like a film of isolation. Like, when does the people he talks to most are his aunt, his uncle, and MJ and Harry, but he doesn't really talk to MJ that much, and Harry just talks at him. So, like, he literally doesn't talk to anybody else in this whole entire film. And I love the way he discovers 99% of this stuff on his own. And even going to the fight and everything, it's on his own. There's one of the funniest parts in this is after the so looking back in hindsight, the building jumping looks a little bit hokey. You know, you can.
You know when you see him running beside the jump, he's actually on a treadmill.
Was that a treadmill?
They have one of those screens beside him, and he's like running on a treadmill.
But when he's jumping and you can see him up in the air and he comes down, like, that's all CGI, and I'm just like, okay, fair enough. Like, they were obviously just trying to get the best out of whatever they needed at that time. When he's doing the sayings, when he going up and at him, but. Do you know what he says on Jordan? Shazam! Like the film that came out. Shazam! How did they get the rights to that? That's what I want to know.
This is before, like, because in the movie, Aunt May says to him, "You're not Superman."
I love that line.
This is before there was borders.
Well, Superman's not real.
You know, this before all that, like, you know what I mean?
But that's like before... Isn't that fun? It's so innocent as well. It's like, obviously at the time you wouldn't have given a shit, but now you're like, they mentioned a DC character. They can't say the word mutant. Like, this is like, that's how far it got. But yeah, the Shazam bit, and then, so you think that's kind of like the peak of the funniness of that scene, and then you get to him like slamming into a wall, but then it cuts straight away to him just like jogging home. So it could have easily him like lying on the ground going, I'm in pain. But no, he just goes like, no, I'm just jogging home now.
Do you get the reference?
What was that from? Is that Indiana Jones?
No, do you get the because when he swings and he smacks right into the billboard, It's a picture of a woman driving a car, a
Yeah.
windscreen, so he's above the windscreen.
Oh, right, okay. Right,
That's
yeah.
a bit of a stretch now.
I can see it. I wondered why that poster was there, and I was looking at it, and I was like looking for what it said. I was like, eh.
It's above the car, but it's actually like it's
I get
above
it,
the
yeah.
windscreen. Yeah.
I'd be fine with that explanation. I'm okay with that. So yeah, and then we get to the part where he's like putting out the garbage, and
Here's Mary Jane.
Mary Jane like having a fight with their horrible parents. Like it's a running theme through these people, like horrible parents, and she was like, "Were you listening? Were you listening to all of that?" It's like,
I suppose you heard all that.
it's like, oh, I did, but I was just putting out the trash. It was by accident. I did.
Yeah, but he spends like
So nerdy.
a large time just waiting. I did, but I wasn't listening.
I wasn't recording or anything. But yeah, so you see, this is where he starts getting his motivation. Before that, it was kind of him figuring out what the hell was happening. And then afterwards, after this scene, you can see where the little motivation is coming in. And it's really nice that they got that in nice and quick. There wasn't him fecking around with powers or anything like that. He was just straight, nicely into, okay, MJ is his actual focus. Remember that, basically. It's like, I think we're about 28 minutes in, 30 minutes in. Oh no, probably a little bit more than that now. And that's still the motivation.
We have not touched on his organic webs, Jimmy.
His what webs?
These organic fucking webs. I don't even know. Like, and what's annoying me better is that was James Cameron idea. That was his. And it is the only thing they kept from James Cameron's fucking thing.
I can see why they did it. I can see why they did it, because they'd have to have a scene with him being that, like, he's not super smart in this film. He doesn't work as a lab assistant. He wanted to be a photographer. That, like, it's a different Peter Parker, I think. He's not like this super smart. Because does he work with the Doc Lizard in the second one or third one or something like that?
He's a student in his class.
Yeah, he's a student in his class, but it's never mentioned he's super smart in this. It's just like he's an outcast, that's it.
You know what, you're supposed like, but I don't think in any comic that I've ever read, and I checked this up, Peter Parker's never had organic webs. That's why it was such it was a mindfuck.
I have no problem with it.
I know, but I just think that's why when Andrew Garfield came on board and made his own like fucking web shooters, I was like, you know, even Tom Holland made his own web shooters.
I get it, and it's like very Hollywood, isn't it? It's just like, he has them. They're in him. Yeah. It's fine.
Like,
but
fucking Vince. No, sorry, I can't forgive that. That's the only I could never forgive.
But I mean, if the spider is going to change his whole physiology, then
exactly,
it's perfectly believable to think that he could.
They already built on that idea, you know, of like the genes kind of coming in and like slipping into the DNA. Yeah.
You're not going to sell me, guys. You're not going to sell me on this.
So whatever. I have no problem with that part of it.
But hang on now, because that puts him in the same category as Batman. If you're saying that, you know, that's not a superpower, then he goes into the vigilante.
True. What are his actual powers? He's just strong. Is that it?
Who?
Spider-Man. If he only needs to create webs, like if he creates webs, and he has sticky pads, doesn't he?
He doesn't have sticky pads.
Sticky pads on his fingers, like he creates that. That's in his suit.
He's just strong and flexible.
He's just strong. He's like a really good gymnast.
He's a broke Batman.
Stop it, Voti. Stop it. No. He has spider sense. He has strength. He has a
point.
So he's a psychic. That's it. He's a psychic Batman.
He has spider sense. He has what's called a Peter tingle. He has spider sense. He has speed. He has agility. He has tensile strength. Like he has the fucking whatever. His webs that like he created. He's super smart.
No, webs that he created isn't one of his superpowers.
But he did, because he created them and he improved on the... Well, it's not a superpower, but... Like,
whatever, that's like...
That's a Batman thing.
Iron Man is not a superhero either, to be honest with you. He just has, like, a core.
He's just rich.
You look at Batman. What's Batman say when he says... So, when the Flash says to him, what's your superpower? Batman says to him, I'm rich.
Yeah.
So
I'm fine with that. That is a superpower.
But that's Batman.
If you have one superpower, which Peter Parker does, that makes you a superhero. Like
Okay.
Batman is only...
So you're saying that the spider changed his physiology. So why is it so unbelievable that he could have like organic webs?
What spider changed the physiology?
When he bit him.
Oh, changed Peter's
Yeah.
physiology. No, fuck you.
Like, imagine if Batman was bit by a bat, but all he could do was run really quickly.
I think we won. I think we won.
We won. We won.
Bitten by a bat. There was a guy bitten by a bat in the DC universe, and he called him Man-Bat. He was actually a doctor who injected
Mr.
himself.
Corona.
No, but he like became Man-Bat, and Man-Bat was like a villain in it.
Man-Bat.
No,
Man-Bat pig. Super cereal.
I just don't. I just can't. I can't go with the whole organic webs thing because Peter Parker is supposed to be.
But they don't need that in this film. The film worked perfectly fine without him having to explain away how the fuck he came up with. Like, how the hell did he do it?
But then you're looking at in the second movie when he loses his powers because of the way he's feeling and his organic webs go off.
That's cool. That's kind of a cool. Well, whatever. We'll move on. But you know, that's a debate.
Garfield's webs break too.
What?
Don't Andrew Garfield's webs break at some point too?
No, when he has his web shooters, the lizard breaks his webs.
Oh no!
Stop trying to cause drama, you.
So at this point, you feel like MJ is a bit of a bitch, to be honest with you. She runs off with Flash in his fancy new car, and she's just like, you know what, I'm getting the hell out of here. And then Peter is like, I want a car. I want to buy a car, and then finds out that there's a big wrestling tournament, an underground wrestling tournament, I guess. And he starts designing the costume, which I think is pretty cool. I like I've seen a lot of people make excuses, actually going, oh wow, he must be like an amazing artist. But then I'm like, you expect him to fucking make cartridges of permanently swingable web. Or that disintegrates after a certain period of time, but he can't be a really good artist. I think that's fine. You know, they're really good. I like the different versions of some of the costumes they come up with. I'm sure, aren't they like alternate universe costumes or something like that?
Yeah.
Or
I didn't want to bring it up because I was trying not to stop you.
No, do bring it up, yeah.
No, but he did. He drew loads. One was like Secret War of Spider-Man, and then the big one he drew was because on the end of it says he drew basically the symbiote costume with the black and white, and on the end of it he wrote just a little note saying needs more color.
Yes, I seen that. Yeah.
Well, on the end he said gloves will fit over bodysuit. So I mean, because in the movie you see he actually made like pipes from. Like it's like it's pipes from his costume to actually go to his hand where they shoot out. Because forever I was like, if they come out of his veins, how the fuck did they come out? But he actually made like shooters out of his like costume to connect. But sorry, I had to check all that shit out. But back to the suit thing. There's like 8 costumes that he came up with.
I love them. I like the style of the costumes. They look like the comic. That's what I like about it. They look like the proper comic Spider-Man. And then one of my favorite characters in this film is Bonesaw ready. Yeah.
Who is that?
That's Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah. Macho Man. And I love it.
What do you say? 3 minutes. 3 minutes of later.
3 minutes. 3 minutes of pain.
3 minutes.
And this is where we get our first introduction to Mysterio.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Bruce Campbell.
Vincent Beck.
And he's like, what? The one at the table. She's just like, no, I'm not signing you up. You will kill yourself.
Octavia Spencer. Do you know Octavia Spencer? She's an Academy Award. She's an Oscar winner.
Yeah. I seen recently enough. She was in a few awards, and again, I think you have like a lot of those kind of, again, starting out actors next to like a Willem Dafoe and Bruce Campbell who've been in it for years.
Like Lucy Lawless is a fucking has one line in the movie. Xena Warrior Princess.
I never knew Xena could fly. Xena can't fly. I'm Lucy Lawless.
Yeah, guy with 8 hands sounds kind of hot.
Yeah, I love that part.
Go on, sorry, go. Bob.
No, you should go.
No.
No, after you. So the where he goes, I'm the human spider. It's like the Spider-Man.
Is that the best you got?
Yeah, the human spider. So he gets into the ring, but all these really nasty women are like, "You're gonna die in there."
Your man comes up like, but like it was actually real wrestlers. Like your man, it was like,
"Oh yeah, I can't feel my legs."
I can give you my legs. And then the cage, but you clearly see when the cage drops that they're all rubber bars because they start shaking.
But Macho Man goes up and shakes him to make sure he goes up.
Beauty's Ultimate Warrior bit.
But I love that he's like, I never agreed to cage match. 3 minutes.
Can't you 3 minutes?
Yeah, the bone saw is ready. I just love it. It's just so weird. Oh, yeah. What was it? Who made your costume? Your husband?
Now that I'm listening to you talking about it, I'm really seeing parallels with Big Hero 6.
I've never seen it.
Darren.
Oh, JP.
There's a lot of...
I'm not 10 years of age.
Oh, Big Hero 6.
I don't have children. I'm a lonely man.
Anyway, it's amazing.
Big Hero 6 is one of the best movies.
Not a big
ever.
Disney fan. I've never seen WALL-E. I've never seen any of those films. So this is the part that he wins the match, but like kicks your man's ass in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And then there's a caveat of the guy in the back who's like not going to pay him all the money, and he's like, but I said $3,000 for 3 minutes. You took him out in like 2 or 1 or whatever.
You beat the guy in 2 minutes.
I forget where that's my problem. And then he goes out and the guy robs him and then runs into the elevator. He's like, why didn't you stop him? He's like, I forgot the part where that's my problem. Ooh. He's being a little bit Spider-Man 3 in that part, isn't he?
Jesse Maguire.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that was... It just felt awkward, though. It didn't feel like...
That's why
natural
Spider-Man
for
3
his
is wrong.
character. Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I was just about to say, that's why Spider-Man 3 is wrong, because see that part? That's just him. That's just him in the whole entire film. So
they changed the whole movie because like in Spider-Man 3, it was Thomas Hayden Church's was like, supposed to have to kill his uncle, and then it was actually your man who really it was a whole jumble of a fucking film.
So he leaves and he goes back to meet his uncle, and then he realizes that his uncle got shot, and this is probably the most sad part of the film, where he's literally going, Peter. He can't even see him. Peter.
He became blind apparently when he got shot.
They shot me in the chest. Peter, where are you? And then he goes out to find out. Like this is where he actually starts swinging through the town, and this is probably one of my favorite.
What's
that?
It's so fucking good because it looks like he was just. It looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. He's not just like. There's a progression obviously where he does like he's learning to fly or he's learning to fucking swing and stuff. That's what I love about it.
You look like you're in an earthquake there, Darren.
Sorry, I'm shaking this here. I get my superpowers. For 3 minutes.
But I like they put that little bit of a sad bit in it, and the swinging through is done really well. Some CGI bits, but it's done at night, so they can kind of hide like a good chunk of all the crappy parts. Swinging onto the car, like that's all like punching through the top of the car.
Did you see the Carlsberg truck? That was like made.
I was like, what? It's like this is like a 12s film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, before those laws, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm like, that's it. You could see the adult influences being okay in these types of films, where you don't really see it that often nowadays. Really, it's more of like a family film all over.
Yeah.
But I think we kind of like, yeah, he fights the bad guy. Your man trips over the pole, and
it's all life lessons after that.
It's all life lessons after that.
It's the robber from the first wrestling match.
Yeah.
Yes.
which starts off this whole thing of it being really patronizing again. Like I was saying to you before, like I like that when it doesn't patronize you, it doesn't tell you everything. It lets you kind of figure it out. Whereas this has all these flashbacks coming up.
Yeah, it does a little overdo that.
But even at that, it's very much like, oh, by the way, duh, it's this guy. You know.
What I like is that,
like that
they do a part in it where they don't do an exact flashback. It's actually Peter's vision of what the guy looked like in the elevator, where he was like, he looked like really serious, but then it flashed back to like him going, oh, thanks very much, guy. And that was kind of a nice little touch. But yeah, you didn't need the flashback. It like happened 2 seconds ago, basically. But yeah. And I like
that same thing happened a few times throughout the movie, and it actually really annoyed me.
When else did it happen? With
there
flashbacks?
There were a few things like with Mary Jane.
Oh yeah, when he's drawn, he sees Mary Jane.
Yeah, this is why I'm doing what I'm
doing.
Yeah.
It is very. It's very mansplaining. It's very Sam Raimi splainy.
Let's keep that.
Right, don't Raimi-splain to me, right? So during the fight with the robber, there is no music in the back, which is, I like that. I like that little bit. There's no soundtrack. He's literally just pummeling him, basically, or, you know, with the knife and stuff like that. Takes out a gun, pulls back, you know, has the flashbacks, and then your man trips over the pole and falls out of the building. And there's a big boat outside. You know, he's like, hey, stop it! Manages to pull off that kind of a Batman exit, where he's basically out the window and straight on top of the roof. And then we're kind of back into, like, there's a bit of an introspective. He does a bit of the Crow. He sits on top of the building.
Yeah.
Becoming one with the
Spider-Man. And that's when you have the testing of the weapons, I think. That part where the Green Goblin comes in.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's when I kind of like the actual snippets of the film itself. Like, they come in parts. The Green Goblin explaining his kind of the reasons for him wanting to start blowing shit up. That's already kind of interspersed throughout the whole entire film, which I like.
Is the scene with William Dafoe kind of talking to himself?
No, that hasn't happened yet. No, that's going to come up to it in... So, at this part, we're well into Act 2.
Do you know who was supposed to play Norman Osborn?
Who?
Just have a guess.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes, no. It was between the two actors who auditioned, I'll mind you, was Nick Cage, of course.
Oh, my God.
And Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken? Hey, he would have been not too bad, actually, to be honest with you. I wouldn't have minded Christopher Walken as Norman Osborn. Like, I can imagine him being like the same guy as when he was in what was that Bond film? Where he wore the suit, the blimp, the big blimp in the end, with Roger Moore.
Don't do it.
You see, Spider-Man, I had that watch up my ass. I can't do a very good Christopher Walken impression.
Christopher Walken can't do a good Christopher Walken.
Yeah, so what is it? J. Jonah Jameson, I think, comes into this part. Yeah, like he becomes Spider-Man. There's like he does that flashback to the great power becomes great responsibility, and then there's a bit of a montage there of him beating up all the bad guys, and there's like the interviews.
Spider-Man, yeah, like when he becomes it's the very first, yeah.
It's only a few minutes long, basically, yeah.
But J.K. Simmons, he was so fucking good in this role. He was fucking born for this role.
He looked exactly like J. Jonah Jameson.
It's not even like it's not even the looking, which he did look fucking identical.
Yeah.
It's the mannerisms, like, and this is not coming off a real person. This is coming off a fucking
like a cartoon character.
Yep.
Like, how did he become that good? There was no one in that movie that was more identical to the character than fucking him.
I'll agree
Like,
with that.
He just jumped out of the whole movie.
He did, but like
Yeah.
even he was so good that he actually came back. They brought him back because they didn't hold Spider-Verse for the real MCU, right? But they brought him back at the end of the new Spider-Man movie as J. Jonah Jameson. Again, he's that fucking good.
I think he suits the role. He looks exactly like J. Jonah Jameson, and he acts
Spider-Man.
so snotty as well. Like the way that he has like these back and forths with the people that are working for him. I think that's fantastic.
Just
Yeah.
fantastic.
Snappy. And then you can see his interest in Spider-Man straight away. It's just like, again, set up. He's like, oh, why is he always there? Obviously, he's clearly committing the crimes. Like, I want him on the front page, and that's it. And what part? Yeah, so we find out that that MJ and Harry are going out with each other, and he's like, oh, Harry didn't tell you? And he's like, no, he didn't tell me, that son of a bitch.
This is becoming a running theme through the whole movie, though. If you watch the whole movie again, or whoever does, if anyone's watching this, it's a running theme where everyone says, "Don't tell Harry."
Nobody likes Harry, and Harry's a bit of an ass in this, to be honest with you. I'm glad nobody tells Harry about anything.
With a twitchy eye for some reason.
And then you get Peter Parker, who finds out that basically taking pictures of Spider-Man is the best way for him to earn any bit of money. So he starts doing that, and you find out that he's kind of being exploited again.
I'll pay you $200 for him.
$200, like, that's not enough. That's not what these pictures are worth. And then he goes, okay, $300. I was like, okay, do I get a job? It's like, no, freelance. Like, straight away, slap.
Yeah. Well, like, you could swear that you could swear if he wasn't playing a part, this is who he'd be in real life.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, it would.
Fucking just like and you know what? He wasn't even going to do the fucking role. Like, I can't remember who was supposed to take on the role, but he was taken on like last minute, and they asked him to come in and audition, and audition was so good that Sam Raimi was like, I cannot believe that we didn't fucking bring this guy in before. He was like, for me, when I saw him at the end of the new Spider-Man movie, I lost my fucking shit.
Is he in the new one as well, is he?
Because they're introducing the whole Spider-Verse thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I won't think, well, because obviously I was thinking, oh, Tom, and you heard of it. Well, I heard about the whole new Into the Spider-Verse thing, but I didn't think they were going to really do it. But when I saw him pop up on the screen, I like in the cinema, like a full-blown like girl just started screaming, like, oh my God. But that's what I was doing. I was like, oh my god. So it was fucking amazing.
So this is when basically Osborn gets kicked out of the boardroom, and they overtake his business that he's apparently doing a fantastic in because he blew up his competitors, and then you find out that his competitors are actually buying him out, and they're basically sacking Osborn. It's like in that one little bit they're like, no, goodbye, you're gone, see ya. And then we have the Unity Festival part, which is kind of like the big setup now. So the original motivation was for Spider-Man to get with MJ and show off a little bit, get a bit of confidence. And then we have, actually this is probably a greater threat. He's going around literally killing people.
I call this the Macy Gray episode.
Yeah, Macy Gray. I like a little bit of Macy Gray. That brings me back.
Fuck's sake, man. Who wouldn't want to see Macy Gray too?
Sounds like Peter Griffin.
Yeah, I don't know what the words.
Traveler accent with Macy Gray.
Right. So yeah, and again, it's a little bit like I'm surprised they actually got away with this in America at the time, because ultimately, like the trailer for remember the helicopter being strung up with the web between the Twin Towers.
Twin Towers, yeah.
And they obviously cut that, and this was like bombs, like literal like jets of steam flying up and around Times Square. I was like, ooh, go steam. Yeah. But they did it tastefully.
Stuff. Yeah, but it's in when like they had to, the one shot they couldn't remove is when you see when he's become Spider-Man, and it's before that bit where Matthew grazing him, and he shoots away, and you see it really close on his lens of his thing. The Twin Towers is still there.
Dun dun.
No, they forgot to. They obviously didn't see it in the editing.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Fucking kept it in.
It's like in 4K you can see anything. Like Blu-ray, you're seeing like all these wires. What I like about this part then is you see they're actually wearing actual costumes, and I never thought that would be a big thing, but nowadays, now you see what people are actually wearing, and it's like a t-shirt, a pair of jeans, and they're wearing like mocap everything, and maybe like something on their face. That's it.
Yeah. Nothing is anymore. Everything's fucking, and which is grand. I like CGI as much as the next person, but like what ruined the Avengers for me, not ruined it, but like was a big fucking shit on, was the fact that like Tony Stark's fucking outfit was like, because when you see behind the scenes of the show, you see that he's just wearing a tracksuit walking around. But when you see that, for me, when I don't know about everyone else, but when I see that and I see Tom Holland walking around in a pair of jeans and a pair of t-shirt, and he's supposed to be doing spell, it ruins, because I know when he's in the, I know when they film it and I see the movie, it's like, oh, he's just fucking really wearing a jeans and a t-shirt. There's no suit, and I don't know what. Maybe I'm just reaching there, but like to me that's like fucking. It just ruins the whole visual effect from it.
How do they get into the character when they don't even fucking wear the suits and things like that? How do you get into the scene when it's all green? Like it just doesn't make any sense.
You do hear a lot of people kind of saying it's very hard. It's very hard to act against a green screen or, against like a tennis ball.
That's just boring.
But you look at Tom Vaughan Lawler, who played Midge in Love Hate. He played oh my god, fucking what's his name? Oh my god, he was in the Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War.
Nidge.
No, but he played. I can't think of his fucking name. But anyway, Ebony Maw he played. But like he had like a lycra suit on, like a jogging suit, and he had like a little hat with a ball in the front of it. And that's where he was fighting Benedict Cumberbatch. But I'm like, how the fuck do you... I don't know if you... Obviously, you just have to get into the moment and... But Benedict Cumberbatch had his whole, like, Doctor Strange outfit on.
Yeah.
So, you have something to work against. But, I mean, if you're fucking, like... Robert Downey Jr. had loads of scenes where he was on his own, just with the fucking tracksuit on, you know what I mean? Against a green screen. I just... As an actor, that sounds salt me on hole. As an actor. Yeah. But, I mean... I personally would have a very fucking hard time doing that.
But you wouldn't, like, that isn't, I always thought that would be the fun part of being an actor, is where you're, like, wearing, the costumes, you're in the scenes. No, it's just all kind of taken away from actors now.
But is that not what, like, but, like, the whole thing with Spider-Man and Batman is, when they come in first and they get into the suits as actors, like Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, getting fit for suits, being in the suit, That's like an iconic, like, handing down of the fucking...
They don't even have the suit anymore. Here, have my mocap.
No, I mean, it's not all of them, though. It's like Iron Man and things, obviously, because it's very animated. But, I mean, there's plenty of videos out there where Tom Holland's talking about how he has to be, like, get water through a straw through his Spider-Man outfit and stuff.
Oh, no.
He can't.
There is. But what I didn't like is, like, the Iron Spider suit from the Infinity War was, like, all CGI.
Yeah, but it's heavily animated, and that's kind of the point of the whole Stark Industries stuff now.
But I don't mind, like, the spikes being animated, but I mean, fucking, like, having the suit itself would have looked cool. You know what I mean? This is why
it would, but if you think about how agile Spider-Man is, and is supposed to be, I mean, asking Tom Holland to continuously do that in a suit that probably weighs, like, however many kilos.
He's a skinny chap.
No. So you want to cop on stop bitching there. So
I'll agree to that. To be honest with you, they have to put in a little bit of risk and a little bit of effort. To be honest with you, but anyway, that's old school. That's real old school right there. Just don't stick balls to yourself now and just run in front of a camera, pretend you're a dragon all day. But now, then we get onto the garden scene. So that fighting scene was awesome. Saves a child. And Green Goblin is like, basically, I'll get you, Spider-Man! And then flies away. Then there's like, what I like about it is there's a garden scene in it, out of all of New York, and they just choose to place that garden on top of a building. And she goes, who are you? It's like, you know who I am. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And again, that's a part where I would have liked probably like a Tom Holland-esque kind of smart aleck.
Yeah.
It didn't come off. It just came off a little bit stale, but I still liked it. I had no problem.
Comedic quip.
Yeah, it didn't. It felt a little bit like.
I think
meh.
his comedic quip was, "I was just in the neighborhood," and I think that was supposed to be the quip. It didn't land right. You got the joke, but I don't think it landed right.
So.
But did you see when he like says that to her, and he runs up and does a flip off the thing? You can blatantly see the trampoline when he jumps onto it and like jumps over. Well, he does it. But like it's so blatant because when he does land, when he does and he flips off it, you can see the trampoline spring back up behind the bit. But the practical effects, man, I don't care.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I can give and take for some of that stuff. Like, because when I see something CGI that's out of place, I'm just like, oh man, that looks horrible. Like, oh my god, did nobody see that? Like, someone spent days and months at that. Like, and it looks still completely crap.
Yeah.
Now we're into about Act 3.
Exactly, yeah.
And they're in the apartment. And I think, like, there's basically Peter's like, someone has to stop it. You know, I'm going to be the one that needs to end this Green Goblin.
This Ring of Terror.
But there's already been a really good build up until this point. You know your characters, you know the bad guys, you know the good guys, and we're pretty much in a good bit into the film at this stage where it's easy enough to start setting up scenes for each of these characters to be in.
Yeah.
You get the first actual reveal of the Green Goblin. This is the mirror scene, which is so well done on Willem Dafoe's part, where the
fantastically,
the way that the camera angle, and they couldn't have. How did they do that, Darren? Would you probably know? Where the camera, they obviously couldn't have filmed the camera in the mirror, but it was straight on. So I think they might have had an actor, and then Willem Dafoe was the other part. I don't know how they did it.
Are you talking about when he has the newspaper at the side? He's walking up to the camera.
Yeah.
He's walking. Well, yeah.
Is that a different person?
It's a different person.
Okay.
So you see where you look at him in the mirror. That's not a mirror. That's two actors. So Willem Dafoe is walking this way, and your man's walking this way. They filmed that. I think they did it for like a whole day to get it like perfectly choreographed, so it looked like the same person.
It's perfect.
And then what happens? They cut it, and then when he looks at the newspaper and he's looking, they did it together. So he looked at the newspaper, and your man looked at the newspaper at the same time, and then obviously cut, and then it goes to Willem Dafoe. Like,
oh, your camera fell there a bit, Darren.
You okay?
Yeah, your camera fell a bit.
There you go.
Oh,
I do. I've had too much beer.
You're drunk. But yeah, like I like the mercy because that, again, it's a practical effect, and it's one that's done really intelligently. And his facial reactions, again, that's like I said, the first reveal of the Green Goblin is basically now. Before that, you just see him as a bit of a menace, but now you're seeing like that character come to fruition. And the facial features, amazing. And then he's like...
But it's like even he's kind of just reminds me of Jack Nicholson a little bit in the Joker.
Yeah, that kind of a menacing, like, he has this kind of schizophrenic episode. I like the way that's not needed to be explained too much. Like, I like the way that they actually go into that, and it's fun to watch him act two different characters that... Like, by this stage, basically, Willem Dafoe's, like, Norman Osborn character hasn't changed a lot. He hasn't been an asshole. He gets really sad and desperate. He actually goes down. Like, he didn't start up... Like, it's sad to see him come down to that level by that stage. He's not, like, this complete asshole who you're like, yeah, I hope he gets taken down. He's, like, a fairly, strict father... That's basically being like, no, I just wanted to, get as much money as possible, fair enough. But not in a bad way. I was willing to even screw myself up with all this toxic gas just to get my company there, and then I got thrown out of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he does this thing where he's like, okay, I'm going to try and convince Spider-Man to be on my side effectively. And he goes to J. Jonah Jameson, and you find out that he invents the name Green Goblin.
Yeah.
He's like, trademark it, you know, Green Goblin. And I think his assistant's like, what about the Green Menace? The Green Menace is like, no, get out.
What about Doctor Strange? No, that's taken.
Doctor Strange Love, how about that? So, yeah, basically, Green Goblin comes in and threatens J. Jonah Jameson with revealing the name of the photographer. But he doesn't. Like, Peter Parker just basically standing right there, and you see that he has a little bit morality. J. Jonah Jameson is a little bit more moral at this point, which is good.
Well, not really, because he just knows that, like, Peter's the only person who'll be able to bring him photos, so he's, like, saving his own ass.
He's like, no, I'll never get those photos again if he kills him. Yeah, I guess you could take it that way. I think he's, like, doing it as, like, I don't know, he just sends him in the post. I don't meet the guy, I just pay him. I like that.
He's an asshole. J. Jonah Jameson's a fucking asshole.
So, and then Peter comes out of nowhere and he's like, hey, leave him alone. And again, a good opportunity for kind of a quick quip that never comes really. It's, it could have been a little bit better there. But he puts him to sleep.
Doesn't he, like, shoot J. Jonah's mouth? JJ's mouth?
Yeah. Oh, there is that bit where he's just, but again, it's kind of not memorable. It's one of those throwaway lines. It doesn't feel, So, he puts him to sleep, and this is the part where it could have been really cringy, where they're kind of sitting, you can see Willem Dafoe's eyes through the mask.
I fucking love this scene.
It looks great. It looks great. That's what I'm saying. It could have looked so hammy, but you see his eyes through the mask, you see his mouth through the mask, and it's like, holy shit, this is actually a bit scary at this point. I'm a little bit threatened.
Well, when he turns to Spider-Man, when he's like hanging upside down the window just before he knocks him out, he has little pupils drawn on the glass goggles. Yeah. Which is fucking really weird. But when he walks up to Spider-Man when he's kind of paralyzing, and he walks up to him and gives him a slap on the head, like, and stands beside him, like, it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, he, like, leans on him like that. Yeah.
It's like fucking the humor in that as well. It's fucking brilliant.
That's done. Why it's so good. Willem Dafoe just does a really good job of that, and you don't know where Green Goblin ends and Willem Dafoe begins. How much influence did he have on that character? But it just comes off as, that's the Green Goblin.
I think it's one of those things where they let him go and see what he can fucking do. You know what I mean?
I think I always love like a horror movie that has that psychological element where you don't know if it's the person losing their mind or if it's something supernatural. Yeah. And I think it's the same thing here with the Green Goblin. It's like you were wondering, is this what's his name, Norman, or is there something going on, supernatural? Is it psychological? So it's really well made.
How I maintain is, if the character's good enough, it will stand the test of time. I could see Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin coming into new Spider-Man movies.
That'd be cool.
That's how fucking good it is.
I think that would be awesome. Again, the fights have been so good up to this point as well. There's been a few fights, and again, Spider-Man, this is the part with the famous kiss afterwards. I think he goes in and sees Mary Jane, and you get to see a bit of boobs, a little bit of no bra action going on.
Yeah, well, that was actually, I won't say what director it was, but like Tobey Maguire, when he goes in behind, like, there's an alleyway. Tobey Maguire goes in behind.
He loves them alleyways, Spider-Man, doesn't he?
You can see when she runs, when he saves her first, he runs in behind the alleyway and also before he appears upside down, you can see him closing the side panel of the door when it's ridiculous. But like, he fucking hated filming that scene. Hated.
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, he hated because like he was upside down for like fucking ages, and his nostrils and his throat were always getting clogged up with water because, as well as like the mask was only to there, the mask would hold water on his nose, so he'd be constantly getting clogged up. So they have to constantly stop shooting. He'd have to hold his breath for ages. So like, I think they filmed like, geez, that scene took like 3 or 4 hours to fucking do.
It looked incredibly uncomfortable.
It was a good payoff though. Good payoff. Well worth it.
It looked really uncomfortable.
Yeah, but you see the vein in his neck, how fucking like prominent it was. Like, that's how long.
And I was laughing so hard because my daughter actually said to me when we watched the scene, she's like, "Why are they eating each other?"
That's how they kissed back then.
So funny.
It was before the virus when we didn't care what we caught. Upside down, right way up, it didn't matter.
I couldn't understand what the hell they were doing. Like, it's so funny.
Why is she eating him?
Well, oh my god, why is Spider-Man evil now? So then we get the cool part where the building is on fire. And your one's like, my baby! And it's like, oh, what? Seriously? My baby! Save my baby! And he saves the baby.
It's like, there's someone inside the building.
But your man, like the police officer comes in and he's like, hey, I'm going to arrest you. And then Spider-Man's like, no, you're not. I have to go and save someone. And he's like, okay, well, you better be here when I'm going to come back. He's like, no, I won't.
Yeah, I'm not coming back.
I'm not coming back. He's like, oh, grr, damn you. They get into the building. That horrific scream is done really well. It's not like it's one of those weird screams. I'm like, what the fuck? That was a bit terrifying. When I seen it first in the cinema, I was like, what the hell? It is really well done because all of the building is on fire. Like the whole entire thing is on fire. Like that's proper fire.
Legit fire, yeah.
And this is where they do the bullet scene. This is where they do the kind of the bullet time scene.
The pumpkin bomb scene.
The pumpkin bomb scene. And again, I like the way they do like a military... They don't need to give a reason as to why it's a pumpkin or anything like that. It's just pumpkin bombs. That's cool. Just do that.
Green Goblin's, that's his weapon, pumpkin bombs.
But like the way that it's a military armor with this kind of goblin head, they don't need to say, oh, we designed it like a goblin for this reason, or you know, we did the pumpkin bombs. Like they just didn't need to say it. It's just there and it looks cool, and that's all I need to know about it. And then we're into Act 4, which is basically the kind of summing up of everything. We know what's going to happen now. The Green Goblin has given his kind of offer. It's been denied, and we're kind of coming to the final battle, basically.
They have Thanksgiving dinner, don't they?
Thanksgiving! Hey! It's inappropriate, right?
But you know, yeah, it is, yeah. But you know, when Willem Dafoe comes in, he says to Aunt May, she's like, well, how's work? He's like, well, work was murder. And then when Peter comes in after collecting the can of like the cranberries, he's like, I had to beat an old lady to get these cranberries. Because God was dressed as an old lady.
Oh and, yeah, right. Okay, cool. I had to beat an old lady to get these.
And fucking the Green Goblin was like work was murder because he's trying to kill Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
I like that. See, that's kind of cool. I like those little bits. Like even the bit where you know there's a bang upstairs. And Spider-Man, like Peter Parker, is hanging on the ceiling. There's a drop of blood. Like that's done really, again, CGI blood, but whatever. We'll give it a pass. And what did he say? He goes like, "How did you get that? How did you get that injury?
How'd you get that cut in your arm?"
And he knows instantly.
A bike messenger knocked me over.
Yeah, he clipped me. I told you it was a bike messenger.
Yeah. But then they look at each other like really like for some reason it's really sexually. Like, I've just seen that a bike messenger knocked me down.
Oh.
And then, but
if he had some emotion in his eyes, you might have gotten a different story.
Are you coming on to me, Parker? No.
Well, immediately it's like, I may have to go.
Yeah, I gotta get out of here. By the way, your girlfriend's a slut. Get her out of here.
You know what's that when he goes?
That escalated quickly, right?
It did.
Yeah. But that escalated very quickly. But you know when what always irritated me, and I never understood this. You know when he gives it out to Harry Osborn, and he goes, "They're all beautiful until they're snarling after the trust fund," and then when he gets in the elevator, James Franco does the same thing with his eye for some reason. You're wrong about her, Dad.
Yeah, isn't he a bit dozy looking?
I don't know what his eye twitches. You're wrong about her, Dad.
You're wrong.
No one fixed that like post production.
Just make his eyelid a little bit more up there.
Jesus Christ.
So so discovers he's Peter, and then he heads off, and
Kill Aunt May then.
well, yeah, he goes to basically fuck up Aunt May a bit. You know, give her the old rough and tumble.
Finish it!
Finish it!
Yeah.
Oh, no! Yeah.
Praying.
blows a hole in the side of her house. Well done. I like that. And then you find out that MJ is in love with somebody, and it's not Harry at all. It's Spider-Man. And Peter Parker is a little bit bummed out. He's like, "Oh man." He gets what he wants, but it's bad, effectively. Like he gets to be like a powerful, kind of well-known guy. He's trying to be good, and it still turns out bad because his aunt gets all messed up. You know, the girl he loves is in love with Spider-Man. He does this little speech though. I like this little speech where he basically is saying, like, "Oh no, I had a chat with Spider-Man and I told him about you," and that was kind of nice. I like that little bit of a third person speech. Like, I'm actually the good person in this relationship.
I think they did well together. Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker and MJ did a fucking great job.
Yep.
Like, because in The Amazing Spider-Man they had Gary, you know Shailene Woodley.
Shailene Woodley.
More info?
She's an actress, obviously, but like she's in loads. I don't know where she's from, but she actually in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, they filmed loads of scenes of her as MJ. She's a great actress.
Right.
She's in what's the fucking Nicholas Sparks novel? Fault Between Our Stars.
Fault in Our Stars.
Yeah, Fault in Our Stars. She's in that.
Oh, okay.
But she played MJ in Spider-Man 2, and for some reason they just didn't use her footage, and they were going to keep her for obviously part 3, because obviously in Spider-Man 2 something happens, and they were going to use her for part 3. But like they didn't. Even the scenes that I saw didn't have as much chemistry as Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire. They just.
I like them together.
That dead eye thing.
Oh.
She's not really
I like Kirsten Dunst.
It's Twilight all over again. It's what's Kristen Stewart and Rob Pattinson. They were the early 2000s Twilight, except for, you know what, they weren't as bad, to be honest with you.
Sparkly.
So yeah, he has his love speech. You know, that's kind of nice. He knows that MJ is then captured by the Green Goblin. He isn't there like a call?
Yeah. On the Brooklyn Bridge. Oh yeah, he rings their phone.
Yeah.
It's like, he knows who I am.
Hey, Spider-Man! Get over here. I'm on the Brooklyn Bridge. And then there's this, like, it gets a little bit crazy now at this point. He's like holding a bus full of people, and then MJ on the other side. It's like, that's a little bit unbalanced. Maybe it's the suit. It's the suit power, right?
No, it's not the suit. Damn, you shut up, Jamie. It's the whole tensile strength of the web that he has. Green Goblin
is holding them first off.
Oh, that's the serum. It's giving them super strength.
Okay, so it's the serum. Because I was thinking, like, is that the suit? Is that the serum? Like, what's happening there?
It's the serum that's after making them super strength. Yeah.
I feel like this is like a Towley moment where it's like, save your friends or smoke pot, and then he goes, I'll choose both, and then he goes like. Winds around him. But yeah, like, it's like that typical, I can save both like, he puts him down on a boat, doesn't he? And then he saves Mary Jane from falling. Yeah, it's great. Another great fight scene. Like, there's a lot of these really cool fight scenes dotted around the movie, and it doesn't need this huge, massive fight scene at the end, which is really great. It's like a build-up of small little fights. He's getting all his weapons out.
It gives enough of each character in the fight scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you enough, like, the acrobatics with Spider-Man, the web swinging of Spider-Man. Gives you enough of the glider, the pumpkin bombs. It gives you fucking everything. Everything that you'd want in a Spider-Man movie, this one has.
In nice amounts as well. It's not overdone. So then they get into a building. They get basically slammed into a building. And for no reason. There's like Staten Island or one of those. Yeah, and the costume's all torn, and again another great fight ensues. Like this is where the picture's coming into play. But yeah,
but this is kind of like I said this today. This is a very violent fucking you hear how violent, you hear how strong Spider-Man's webs are, because you know when he's getting shit kicked out of him by and he does this whole massive web thing against the wall, and when the Green Goblin's coming through it sounds like metal is coming through, a metal gate. Like,
you know what, that's actually sorry, go on.
No, go on. I was just saying this. It's supposed to be like a metal. It seems like a metal gate. The sound of it when he's coming through it. But like you see you see blood in this movie. Like you barely see that in the old movies. Like when he gets kicked on the ground, he gets thrown against the wall, and he just like coughs up blood, and like even the sound of Tobey Maguire getting bet up in this sounds violent.
It's it is for the Asian market that they don't have blood in it. That's a big no-no. So I think a lot of that is kind of, and like for kids' movie, that's what I'm saying. It's a little bit more adult in this film.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like my kid actually said to me, like, and he's 7, and he pointed out like, oh, he's, you know, that guy's actually dead or whatever it was, you know, and even he kind of realized, oh, I never see people actually die in the movies that I watch, right? Now.
Yeah, that was a pretty horrific death. Like when he gets like spiked through the fucking wall.
I mean, he was fine with it, but it's more like the superhero movies that he sees now, and even like a lot of the Avengers stuff wouldn't be suitable for him. He's only 7, but it never occurred to me that he doesn't see the characters actually die. You know, so yeah, it's a big difference.
Don't worry, he comes back and kills people forevermore. It's fine. The bad guy lives.
But you know, that was like an ongoing thing, the flight guidance system, because that was the whole thing. That's why they wanted to cancel it, because they didn't the flight guidance system. And in the fight scene between Peter and Green Goblin, the first one, you know, in the Macy Gray situation, where he does the whole backflip thing and he rips out the guidance system.
Yes.
And that's obviously, like, if he had that guidance system, he wouldn't have actually he would have been able to tell it to go off instead of stabbing him with the fucking. So like,
that's good. I like that.
A lot of ongoing themes in this whole fucking movie.
And again, you see the kind of the menacing mouth through the mask and everything, and you know, like when the masks come off, you see Peter Parker with his kind of mask stripped off. They're like their bare selves then at that point. Peter, don't tell. Oh no, what does he say? Don't tell Harry.
It wasn't me. It was a goblin.
The goblins. And yeah, he uses that weird voice again. He goes, don't tell Harry. So
don't tell Harry. Well, that's after he gets stabbed. He says, Godspeed, Spider-Man.
Godspeed, Spider-Man. And then he does the flip. Whoop.
Yeah. It was the spider sense.
Spider sense is tingling.
Tingle.
And then Harry sees Spider-Man delivering the body back to his house.
He believes, he sees the father, but that was obviously set up the next movie.
Yeah. And there's the funeral, and then you see, I've written down here, you see Tobey Maguire's oh shit face, but now all of the comments from Derry, I realise, oh no wait, that's just Tobey Maguire's face. It's like this. He's like, I'm you know, you've been here for me all along, Peter. You're like one of the family. That Spider-Man, he's such an asshole. And then
honestly,
I'm like,
if you watch again, or even watch a few clips, you'll notice it's Ben's dead face. It's I love Mary Jane face. It's oh shit
Peter,
face.
So what you're saying is it's his resting Toby face.
Resting Toby face.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at this point, I kind of like, you know, they could have had that nice ending where he does make it off with MJ and everything, but he realizes like, no. The people that I have around me, they're pretty much in danger every time I've tried to do something nice.
People closest to me are the ones that always pay.
So,
which is an old quote from one of the comics.
She gets friend zoned basically.
Yeah, fuck her.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? She's fairly what's the word? Flaky. I don't know.
She's a bit flaky,
like the third love interest in the space of 2 hours.
Right.
So
I know, isn't it? Yeah.
the break's on.
Yeah, actually fourth if you count Spider-Man himself as well.
Third.
No, because you got Flash, and then you got Harry, and then you got
Yeah.
Spider-Man, and then you got Peter. It's like, whoa, calm down.
Yeah.
She didn't love Flash. It was just the fact that she needed him because she was in Stop questioning things.
I'm not just saying.
Don't
like,
question
she's only
things.
just finished college, like, and she just seems to fall for guys very quickly, very
What a
fast.
flake!
So, you know.
Well, her life was so shit that
She got kicked out of her house. She got kicked out of her house, and she's like,
Why
"Oh, a new
her?
car." She's like ADD. So, woo. So that's Spider-Man. I enjoyed that. It was a good film. It was a nice one to revisit.
Sorry. You say good movie?
Good movie. It's a good movie.
It was a good movie. It was a very good movie.
Did you say good movie?
I said good enough.
I said very good.
Be good.
Despite my misgivings about certain things.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the pacing. I thought everything was put together really well.
Yeah, overall I will give it a 7 webs out of 10. Darren?
What I will say about the movie, and very simply, is I loved it years ago. And because of so much stuff that came out of superheroes now, I'm like, I forgot why I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I like seeing clips, like every now and again, I'd be like, oh god, I couldn't watch it now. But because obviously we do this now and I watched it, I remember why I fucking loved the movie so much.
I remember.
But I fucking adored the movie, man. I really do.
Yep.
I would like as a movie, I'd probably give it like a 9 out of 10. But because I love it, I give it a fucking 10 out of 10. Pacing,
a 10 out of 10.
But pacing, cast. But I think some of the minor cast, like obviously, I think the best cast in the whole thing are J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams, he wasn't in that movie.
Thank God.
J.K. Simmons and Willem Dafoe were the top tier in that movie. Like Tobey Maguire was good, but
I'm just looking at Derry's picture, and that's basically his face throughout the film. So yeah. He did a good that face.
That's his eating shit face.
That's his "I'm gonna get you, Green Goblin."
But no, it's like, look, man, I'm gonna be biased and say I fucking loved it.
1,000,000%. What about you, Derry?
I think I'm going with 7.
7
really
spiders out of 10 spiders.
I thought it could have been cast a little bit better. I know I'm in my own with that opinion, but
on a scale of 1 to real shade.
Yeah. On a scale of really sunny to like shadow,
really?
How shady is this film?
How shady will we be?
I've been quite shady.
Like Eminem shady? Are we on like that?
Real shady.
Is it real shady? The real Slim
no,
Shady?
I never got that. Real shady.
Oh my God, we are the real shady.
We are the real shady. Let's stand up.
No, because then we'll cut our heads out of the frame.
And then we'll just be floating bodies.
I bet someone watching back on this might think we're talking about Eminem all the time, but no, it's about movies. That's what we're talking about here today.
So you enjoyed it? You enjoyed it?
I enjoyed it, and
I'm really glad you enjoyed it because when I picked it, I was like, I'm the only one who's going to enjoy this.
No, I have always enjoyed the film, and I'll be picking the next film, so I probably know you're not going to be enjoying any of those films.
Oh no.
I don't care. I'm sure someone in the audience will enjoy that. One of my films.
You know what? I have to say, this is like going to see a play for me. I love going and seeing something that I know fuck all about. So
Great.
I love when someone's like Jamie, obviously, the Dr. Calavari. I didn't watch it, but if you picked that movie, I'd be like so excited to see it because I'm like, I know nothing about it, and I want to go in totally fucking blind. I want to go in Stevie Wonder in it, totally fucking blind.
Stevie Wonder in it. Well, hopefully it'll be Stevie Wonder cured at the end of it, seeing the light of all the good movies. So yeah, let's maybe end it there. Let's see what Derry has. Let me see if I can pop down to the next scene and check out. Are we done, Derry? Are you all done?
Yeah, pretty much.
There we go. There will be there'll be like a better quality version on the YouTube version of this. So it'll be all snipped in, and it's on our Instagram as well, which is probably linked in the bio somewhere. And yeah, thanks very much for coming along. We hope you enjoy it. and we'll see you again probably next Monday, same time. What was it? 8:30?
Same Spidey channel, same Spidey place.
Same Spidey channel, same Spidey time, same Spidey cornholio.
Oh.
Bye.
Bye.